Good evening. Good evening. Been a long time. This is In the Paint, the realest show in sports. I'm Max 611, aka Mark A. Cunningham. My partner, R. Jones, Rodney Jones, aka Big Brother R, will not be with us tonight. It's been a while since I've actually been on as we've been doing the show. I've been going through some things personally and busy with some other things. But I got my brother with me, my man from who hails from the BX, but is in the South. What's up, Don?
Good evening, Mark. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can hear you. How you been, man?
I can't complain, Mark. You know that.
Well, I know you all right. I speak to you every day by text,
Mm,
so
mm, no shit. Yo, you guys are
yeah. So
crazy.
um, let me start off by asking you, how do you feel about this NBA play-in tournament? We're gonna talk about the tournament. I like that hat. I was gonna wear mine tonight, but I didn't do it. But I like that hat.
I, I'm still not for it, Mark. And
Me
you see
either.
what happened tonight, right?
Yes, yes, yes. We gonna get into that, but yeah, why don't you like the play-in tournament?
Like I always said, on a normal year, you got 82 games. This year, you got 72 games. It's been one
Right.
to eight. I'm not against change in life, but if
Of
something
course.
ain't broke, don't fix it. Now the funny thing is, Mark, is we finally got beyond a lot of the teams, especially in the East, that were the seventh and eighth seed that had
Right.
losing records.
Right.
So we just about cured that. Now we add three or
Hmm.
four teams with losing records to play a team with a losing record. If you
Right.
win, you play. It's just too much. It is. The
Hmm.
season's too long to begin with.
Well, I don't
So
think it's too long, but you know.
the way they try to spread it out, Mark, especially like this year, they spread it out. Then they went into the compression. So you had guys taking load management games every 3 days.
Right.
So what did you really accomplish? Now you're going to stretch it out. I'm assuming today's Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The real playoffs are Saturday,
Yep.
and not everybody's going to play that game. So some of them are going to play Sunday. So you stretch this part out another 6 days to get
Right.
to get teams in the mix that have losing records. You had a
Hmm.
chance. You had a chance to get a winning record for 72 games. Is it fair to the other teams that busted their you know what? And now they got to play somebody that might get hot. The Washington Wizards, for example.
Right.
Can they beat Boston?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's for me, I agree with you. I don't like the play-in tournament because those teams are essentially mediocre to bad teams who got an extra game or two if they get past the first game, and then you might lose in the next game. So
Yeah.
um, and they're not gonna beat the number one seed or the number two seed, those two teams. So it's just monotonous, and we know what it is. It's about getting more money and more revenue and more TV dollars, more advertising dollars.
Which which brings me to another point. You got everybody like Mark Cuban. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
just I don't like this guy, but he complained a few weeks ago. He went on his rant again about, oh, now we got to play this compressed schedule. Guys got to get load management games. Okay, one, you signed up for this. Two,
Right.
they've been load managing for quite some time now. So
Right.
I don't know where you're coming from with this nonsense. I know a lot of times he just likes to be heard, but
Right.
sometimes you just need to shut up because again, you signed up with this. The owners, the players, the union. All y'all signed up for this to, like you said, make the money, and now you're complaining.
Right.
I don't
Right.
get it. Just
Right.
just put the top 20 teams in the playoffs. Don't worry
Right.
about what conference they're from. Just put the top 20 teams. That was another one of his points.
I hate that. I hate that alignment where it's 1 through 20. I think that's no. You should play against the team you played in your division all year. You need to see them, or the team that played in your conference. You need to see them, and it takes away from historical rivalries. It takes against budding rivalries, nearby rivalries. So I don't like that at all.
What would have happened, Mark? Let's say Boston played as good as they supposed to have played, which
Right.
I didn't have a lot of faith in them. That's a subject down the road when it comes to the Knicks. But let's say Boston was that team. And now you possibly kind of could have Boston and Philly in the conference finals.
Mm-hmm.
That's like going back to like when me and you were kids, Boston, Celtics, Knicks, Celtics. Here's the funny thing, Mark, without getting winded. Have you noticed everything the NBA has tried, it's become a bigger farce than when they weren't trying. Everything you've tried to do has created more nonsense. You got, let's be honest, Mark, you got probably 4 really stellar teams in the NBA. The rest of them are just hovering above water. Then you get all of these super teams and these buddy systems. And what do you have? You have a watered down league. And at the end of the day, the chances of Mark and Dominic making the championship is pretty good because we went out and got all the stars. So, which, you can't knock it in a way, Mark, because these guys have the right to do that. Which, again, if we get to the Knicks, they sort of threw everybody. They threw the monkey wrench in this, Mark. The Knicks actually threw a monkey wrench in this season in more ways than one. Trust me. And I'm saying that because I'm a Knicks fan, Mark. This is totally by numbers. The Knicks actually threw the NBA for a curve this year. It's strange. Again, me and you being Knicks fans. But again, Mark, like I always say, numbers don't lie. People lie with numbers. You look at what the Knicks did this year. Here's a team, Mark, that the pundits and the talking heads had winning 22 games this year. The same people that hosted now. Go New York, go New York. No, you don't get a chance to do that no more. Sorry, I'm just sorry. You don't get a chance to do that. You had us for dead. You had us in the lottery. Some of these networks built up the Pelicans like they were the next coming of the, 81, 82 Celtics and Lakers. This is what y'all do. Y'all build these teams up and these players up. And at the end of the day, you fall on your face. But you get a chance to say, go New York, to Mark. Like Mark forgot about what you said for 5 months.
Right.
Really?
I know a lot of people in our Facebook groups and people on Twitter, they might think I'm anti-Nick, but I've been suffering for through all of the craziness. And I look at things hard. I look at things objectively. And I tell with my plain eyes, I see what I see, and I say what I say about it, and I speak, the truth. If the Knicks are losing and they bad, I'm gonna say they losing and they bad. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. Now they're winning, so I'm happy.
That's right. And you know what, Mark? That's the big thing. You got too many fake fans. You got the same fans that were saying 5 games into the season, we should tank for this one kid you saw play one college game. Remember? The point guard.
Right.
Oh, we should tank for him. Well, and now you're like, I understand. You're still a fan. You're still a
fan. Certain segment of the Knicks fan base wanted Chris Paul. Listen, I like Chris Paul as a player, but He's making over $40 million a year. He's 35 years old. Also, I knew he didn't want to come here. So now, recently, there was a report. Tibbs said we spoke to him. He said, "No, I'm not really feeling coming here." Partly because he wanted to stay on the West Coast with his family.
Right.
His son is in LA because he's been in. He played for LA for many years, so he wanted to stay on the West Coast. And he really didn't want to come here. And I'm not mad at him about that.
No, not at all.
I understand. I wouldn't if I wasn't a Knicks fan, or if I was a player and I was looking at the Knicks, I'll go, I know y'all got Tibbs. He's a great coach, but no. But now, maybe after having this year and we see some of the success we've had, maybe we can get players to want to come in free agency. But here's the thing. I don't want them to overpay either for somebody and they come here and they're not as good as advertised. Or you mortgage the farm to get one player and your team still isn't great.
But the thing about that, Mark, and when we say overpaying, we've sort of got to get out of jail free card for a couple of years. We're under the cap. We almost got fined for not even meeting the cap, the minimum cap. That's
right.
Why they signed that European guy, to meet that cap restriction where you have to spend X amount of dollars.
Right.
So
right.
if you do have a chance to go out and get somebody, I'm not going to throw no names out there. Just let's say a Kawhi Leonard, just a name. I'm just throwing a name out there, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to pay him $33 million a year. Again, you've got get out of jail free cards for as much money as you're making. Number one franchise in the NBA.
Right.
You got to get out of jail free card for a couple of years. They was one of the lowest caps last year. They're the low cap this year. So, if it depends on the player, Mark, because we can rewind this. We can rewind this and say, okay, Chris Paul was making $40 million a year. But you add him to this roster with Derrick Rose coming off the bench.
Ooh.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Right.
And to see how he's playing this year.
Right. I listen, we know Chris Paul is a great player. He would add to the Knicks. It's just money in his age was my only thing. How are we gonna spend $40 million on a player that's declining?
I looked at the injury, Mark, before I looked at anything else. He's had a history of being injured at the wrong time. And of course, that's due to his age, his,
body type,
pounding. Right. So I looked at that before I did the money. Because I'm thinking again, Mark, the Knicks have gotten some free passes the last few years with not signing nobody, getting these one and dones, little minuscule contracts.
Well, you know what? Those one and done contracts got us here. So where we are now, where we still aren't we aren't close to being over the cap. And some of the players we have, they may come back next year, or we might upgrade a little on who is a free agent. Take, for instance, like Reggie Bullock. He played great this year. He did whatever they asked.
Especially down the stretch.
Right. He took short money because of his injury last year. He had a neck injury, so they restructured his contract, so he took less money. He was supposed to get like $10 million last year. He took $4 million instead. So do you reward him? Or do you look for somebody better?
No. Here's the quagmire that Knicks are in. You see what you've done has been pretty successful, Mark. Come on, they were 41-31. 41-31. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You took a bunch of scrap heap players. But the thing is, Mark, every one of those so-called scrap heap players are doing the role the Knicks signed them to do. Reggie Bullock.
Yep.
You're gonna be our 3-point shooter. Alec Burks, I'll tell you what, Mark. This guy, Alec Burke, he's really the Nick Savior. If
He
you
has
go
been.
back, if you go back to this guy in the beginning of the year before he got hurt, he was averaging almost 19 points coming off the bench.
Right.
He comes
Right. And then
back, Mark.
he had the little injury problems, and he also
Yeah.
had COVID.
But now coming down the stretch, Mark, here he is again. Here's a guy that you put on a small forward, a shooting guard. He
A
could
point
play
guard
point guard.
sometime.
He knows
Right.
how to control the game. He's always into the game. He's a hell of a shooter.
Right.
And he's always looks like he's happy. Like, I'm just happy to be here. Always got a
Right.
smile on his face. Like, I got a job. I'm happy. You know.
Right. So do you bring him back? And Bishop, what's up, brother? Haven't
What's going on,
spoken to you in
fellas?
a long time.
Good.
Via
Yes,
this way.
Yeah, so just want to thank you guys for having me on. I'm not in the capacity of your counsel tonight, Mr. Mack. So
Why ain't you show your face, man? You
I'm just saying that, right now, tonight, you're on your own. So I would advise you to proceed with caution and choose your words wisely. Choose your words wisely.
I can't spaz out like Kwame Brown. We're gonna talk about that later on tonight.
Yeah, you too important to the movement here. So I would like for you not to eliminate yourself from the cause, brother. You're way too important to the movement here. So yeah, I heard you. Alec Burke. So you remember when you and I were having a conversation earlier during the year, and I was like, between Alec Burke and what Bullock, yeah, between the two of them, like for what they were asking them to do, I mean, they fit the bill. Like there's no reason why they wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we got
Alec
great
Burke
production from him.
Yeah, Alec Burke always had like the injury problems or whatever. But I think what was happening with him was he was first they were using him too limited, so he couldn't get into a flow. When he was in Utah, he couldn't really get into a flow. And with the Knicks, he gets just enough playing time, and they put just enough on his shoulders. I don't think he's the type of dude that you could bank on him giving you 20 a night in the starting lineup, because he just doesn't have that. He's too nonchalant. He's too nonchalant about it. Like if he's going good, he's going good. If he's not, he's okay too. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm okay either way. Like I'm winning either way. And if you put him in a starting lineup where you asking him to give you production every night, that's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? And for me, like I think we were talking about it in a few of the posts. For me, I would have kept Rivers, and I would have got rid of Payton, because you weren't paying Rivers a whole bunch of money. You're not paying Rivers a whole bunch of money.
I think Rivers he was professional. He just didn't fit.
Right.
Yeah, but for what they were asking from him, you don't think that it would have been good to have either the option of having Burke or him come off the bench, because he played D. He could hit a shot. And some of them games where they don't pay attention to him, he could go for 30.
Well, yeah. Plus, I think he was tapping into Quigley's minutes, so
yeah.
Quigley
I'm
and
not
Burke's
mad at
minutes. It was good to have him when Burks was hurt.
Right.
Again,
because he got us through that.
Right, Burks might not be the guy you want him to be, but he's a glue guy who can score. Like I said, go back to the beginning of the year when he was coming off the bench, when we had Rivers, and he was averaging 19 points a game. Then he got hurt. Then he got COVID. But he comes back down the stretch, and the Knicks win what?
He had a baby
out of 14.
Also.
I mean, you can't overlook what all of these guys have done. And I hear Bishop, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have an Elfrid Payton. But again, in a perfect world, according to some, we should have had 22 wins this year.
Right. Reggie in the chat room, he said he called him Elkridge. Peyton Elfrid he said he's done. He said he's got to go.
Yeah, you guys have been
We know that now.
on me, but I'm saying you guys have been on me, calling me emotional.
You
Like
are?
after some of these games, I'm like, yo, like what the hell is going on? It's like, yo, I'm watching the game and this dude missed 8 layups. 8 layups. That's 16 points. And then the
Yeah.
Knicks lose by 8. They lose the game by 8.
Over the last 6 to 10 games, maybe 6 games, he scored like 2 to 4 points. I watched the last game of the season, and he got a layup swatted twice, and on one of them, I'm like, "Why are you driving there, man? He's waiting for you." And
Right.
His minutes have decreased because Rose has played better. I think he's in a comfortable space with his body. He's doing something right where he won't get injured, and his game has changed a little. He still shows flashes of the electric athlete that he was, and he picks his spots.
Well,
Yeah. Hold on, we got Carl on the line. What's up, brother?
What's up, brothers? How y'all doing?
all right.
What's up? We talking about the Knicks and they're getting a playoff berth. What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
on that?
I was just silently listening to everybody's take. Everybody had their take on it. Bishop was mentioning Burks and Dom was as well. And here's the thing with Burks. Burks is a good player, but if you notice when he played in Utah, when he played in Golden State, when he played in Philly, he's one of those guys, if you get him out on the floor, he's going to score. But this was just a perfect storm for him because the Knicks needed some offense. And he's a guy that could provide that. Like what the Knicks got with him, they were trying to get guys who could score and shoot on the cheap. And they tried to do that with guys like Ellington. And they paid him for that, but then they couldn't even hit a shot. But that's what you're getting paid for. Well, Burks is like bargain basement, but then some. He gave them even more than what they expected. Him and Bullock, because they come out, and then the catch-22. I feel with the both of them is where your team is constructed now, and you do need those guys. But I don't really know that you make any type of long-term commitment to those guys, because then if you're trying to get better, when you get better, those are going to be role players off the bench. Like they're just playing roles off the bench now, but they're getting more minutes because they actually need their scoring. But if the Knicks have somebody that's more bona fide, like say if Scooter became more consistent, all those guys would kind of see less minutes because they wouldn't need, that scoring from them. But I think you guys mentioned the Chris Paul thing. Here's the thing with Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul, if you got the cap space and your team is on the cusp, like look how he transformed Phoenix. Right. Phoenix would not have been where they are if it wasn't for him. He just will transform your team that way. But it's got to be like the right situation. It's got to be the right situation and like a 1-year deal. Or like he's okay at this point if somebody gonna cake out and pay him 30 to 40 million, but you can't extend him or give him any type of contract. Like say Chris Paul could just sit back next year. Like if his contract's up with Phoenix this year, he can go sit and say, okay, I want to play here. Because look what he did with OKC. OKC last year kind of reminded me of the Knicks this year. It was just totally nothing expected of them. And then they came together and they played hard. And I think with the Knicks too, some things you guys were mentioning about the players and stuff, but I also think this is key. Thibodeau builds a culture. So like Kevin Knox and Peyton, he don't care how many zeros at the end of your check. He don't care where you were drafted. If you bugging out, you're not playing. And he's gonna take minutes. He's gonna take minutes away from you. And that's another key thing. When they're looking for free agents, is you got to have a guy that's got to have the right mentality, because think about it. Wherever Thibs is coached, he has guys that are his favorite, but guess what? His guys always play hard. There was no prima donna type dudes on any of his teams. So the Knicks have to be careful in free agency, because you go looking for that new shiny toy, and then he get in there and Thibs get on him. And then he's not what you think he is. And then you didn't made this commitment. So I guess what I'm saying is that whatever move they make from a front office standpoint, they're gonna have to have him involved because that's gonna have to mesh.
Right.
Because some of these guys are big stars, and you know they can't. Some of them haven't even been coached yet, believe it or not.
Right.
You know, look at Randall. Look at Randall this year. No, give him his props though. He worked on his game, but it's also good he got a coach that was going to drive him. So he did the work, and now he's got put into a situation to succeed. Because remember, we talked about the numbers he was putting up last year, but it just didn't seem the same as this year. It was like numbers on it, like you losing by 30, but I scored 30. You know what I'm saying? Like it was on a bad team type of thing. And now when you put up those numbers and you're winning, and you're cutting down your turnovers, it just all looks so much better.
Well, you gotta remember too. Last season, he was shooting 29% from 3-point range. He was taking a bunch of bad shots. He was turning the ball over a lot. He wasn't really looking for anybody else except for himself on offense. So he was playing differently. Yeah, he was getting numbers, but they were getting blown.
Well, Bishop, he said, I read an article recently. He said, offensively, the Knicks had no structure last year, no real structure.
But that doesn't.
No, but let me finish. But hold on, but let me finish. He said they had no structure, and they asked him to do what he was doing, which was be the person with the ball in his hand most of the time, person take the most shots. But he said he watched tape. And he said, "Oh, he said what we saw. Oh, what are you doing?" And he still has moments where he does dribble into a wall and take a bad shot. He still has moments where he takes an ill-advised 3 off the dribble when he should set his feet and just let it fly. And Tibbs also said we met in the off season. We sat down and talked, and then they watched tape together as well. And I guess Tibbs said, well, I don't want you doing that. I want you doing this, and we're going to do it this way. And Tibbs doesn't get credit for his offensive schemes. He gets more credit for being a defensive coach, but their offense has been percolating.
So when you look at what he was doing last season, the coach didn't force him to come down and dribble the ball for like 18 seconds and then jack up a 3. Like he was doing that on his own.
You're right, but the coach also didn't stop him.
Right, but you as a player, but I'm saying you as a player, if you know that's not your game, if you know that that's not your game, yeah, you can work on that in practice, but you don't come on the court in an NBA game on a night after night basis and throw up wild unabridged shots. Like last season, I remember watching him shoot air balls from the 3-point line like consistently. I remember watching him drive into like 4 players and just turn the ball over. So that's not the coach. That's you on the court making bad decisions.
He did that in LA to a degree. He did that in
New Orleans.
In New Orleans to a degree. Me and Carl used to play with a brother, and this brother would get the ball. Instead of taking a 2, he's open for a 2. He would step back and jack a 3 and miss. And then Carl, what was his saying? Y'all know I don't know how to play this organized stuff.
Oh yeah. Talk about shit. Talk about this cat. Yeah, that was funny. You'd come down and you'd pass, like if you have any type of flow and you play ball, you see how the ball would be moving. You move the ball and he'd get it and hold it, and he can read Spalding and whatever else was on it because he didn't know what to do with it but shoot it. He wouldn't like you catch it, maybe 2 seconds, pass it. He would catch it and act like the ball was attached to his hand. He couldn't let it go. He just had to shoot it. So it's just funny when you see that. But I wanted to weigh in on something.
Was doing that. Go ahead, Carl.
I wanted to weigh in what Bishop said about Randall though. He did mention, Bishop, that last year that because he was the free agent signing, like he was the marquee signing, he felt that he needed to take the onus to be the guy. Right. And that turned out badly. And what you realize too is sometimes you just have a bad mix. Like you can have a recipe that's a good thing, and you can have a recipe that like blows up. And it was like that perfect recipe to explode. you had him thinking he had to be the guy to carry the load, but then you don't have any type of offensive. I think it was a combination of not having any coaching consistency or, running sets. But I do agree with what you're saying. Randall was doing the things that he had always been doing every place else. And he's one of those guys, because of his size and his athleticism, when he steps on the floor, he's going to get you a double-double. But it's now, at least he's getting those statistics in that winning environment instead of like scoring that 30 and you didn't miss this many threes and you got 6 or 7 turnovers and then your team loses. And I think that comes, with coaching. And we got to give him some props too. He went and worked on his game, lost some weight, got better, and now it's going to be interesting to see, I guess, going forward is when the Knicks get somebody else, how does he fit if the Knicks get somebody that's better than him? Because you got to remember, right now, he's really kind of the best guy on the team, but that's kind of by default because the cupboard was bare.
Let's rewind something, guys. And I've been saying this forever now. Instead of everybody talking, not us, I'm saying people in general, check Randall's statistics. He got better every year in the league after he missed his first season. Every statistic he got better at, except last year. Now, some of us on this line are the first ones to blame a coach when things don't go right. So now you take this combination, because think of what Randall did during those years I'm talking about. Some of us can't remember who his coaches were. But whoever they weren't Thibodeau. And his numbers got better every year, except under Fizdale. So now you got a coach. And again, it's a dual thing. You got to realize what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right. But you also need somebody to tell you that. There ain't no way God's green earth. He'd have been jacking up three, shooting 21% from the three-point line last year with Thibodeau as the coach. Wasn't going to happen, guys. It wasn't.
You're right.
We've seen Thibodeau pull Bishop's best friend, R.J. Barrett, when he wasn't hitting. I don't care where somebody said a few minutes ago. I don't care where you were drafted, how many zeros you got on your contract. If you ain't hitting, you're sitting.
Why you think Knox is on the milk carton?
Exactly. He's been on the milk carton. He was on the milk carton before Thibodeau. He had one foot on the banana peel and the other one out the door. Now he's out the door. He ain't lasting. He's done.
So let me ask you this then. So is that the situation now with these guys? With Mitch Robb, Frank
Ntilikina,
and Ntilikina and Kevin Knox. Now, is it who's up for the tender this year? Is it Mitch Robinson?
Yep.
And what about Frank too? Right?
Yep. I think they'll re-sign
Frank is a non-restricted.
Unrestricted.
He's restricted.
Unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, I think they'll re-sign him.
No, that ain't happening. Remember, guys, everybody was kind of like bug-eyed. The Knicks actually extended him and Dennis Smith Jr. before season. They was on their way out the door. The Knicks extended them. They
pick up that fourth year, I think, right?
Exactly, Carl. They picked up that fourth year.
Hold on, fellas. What's up, man? What's up, Don from?
What up?
From the West Coast.
The Knicks is playing Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
They playing Atlanta.
I didn't hear nobody talk about that. Everybody's talking about next year and Chris Paul and that. When we gonna talk about who they about to play right now?
Oh, I wanted to talk about them Friday, but we can expound on that tonight. And we're gonna talk about the playing game.
So can I say one more thing? And I thought about this. So I know y'all guys know I don't like Peyton. I didn't make that a secret.
Likes it.
Right. I've been talking about that 60 games ago. I was talking about this.
Right.
So
Bishop,
when I realized,
hold on, Bishop, hold your thought for a second. I want to be your. You've been my advocate for a while. Now I want to be your advocate. You need to chill on Alfred Payton before he Kwame Browns you.
Okay.
Proceed, sir.
So what I realized, and I just realized this the other day, I think they got rid of Rivers and they kept Payton because Tibbs knew at some point that Derrick Rose was going to be getting the majority of the minutes. And there would be no way to justify not giving Rivers playing time, but you could do that for Payton. Because if you remember when Rivers was there would be certain points that RJ wouldn't see the court because he would have Burks and Rivers in the game because RJ wasn't hitting the shot. And he was not a threat offensively. So there would be fourth quarters, like third quarters and fourth quarters, where he wouldn't see any playing time, and those guys would be getting the bulk of the minutes. So I think what they had to do was they had to figure out a way to get RJ consistent minutes and also accommodate the fact that he was bringing Rose on. And if you basically shit on Payton, nobody's really gonna care about that because nobody, you know what I'm saying? He's a journeyman, but he already knows that he shouldn't be playing those minutes that he's playing. He should be getting starters minutes.
I think right now he's in a shell and his confidence is kind of shot and his minutes are diminishing.
That was always going to happen, though. That was always going to happen.
Oh, listen, early in the season he played really well. He was averaging 14 points, 12 points, getting like 6 assists. Now he's not. So that's because the Knicks started winning, and then other teams started figuring out, okay, well, we need to game plan, and we need to make sure. And then they started funneling the ball to where he had to shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like forcing him, like, okay, well, we'll just pack it in. We'll just pack it in, and we'll force him to beat us. And he never did. It's like a 15-footer. Come on, like you got to be consistent on that. A 15-footer, and now you can't even make layups.
Bitch, you're right, bitch. How many times you watch the game and you hear Clyde Frazier go, shoot, man?
Yeah. Look at the basket.
Because he's wide. Yeah, because he's wide open. But here's one of the things that kind of gets me with that scenario as well. When you look at these guys, right? Like when you look at Payton is a playmaker. He can dish. He can do. But the whole key is, when are you going to start working on your shot? Basically. Like at least to kind of be a semi-threat. Right. Like you could always get in the hole. You play well in transition. But like Bishop said, when you start playing teams or even better teams, they're gonna plan for you and they'll be like, okay, we're not gonna press up on you and let you dribble around us. We just gonna pack it in and make you shoot. And how many times you seen them out there dribbling? Or when you have a video game and it malfunctions and the guy's like walking in the wall and he keeps just jamming. That's like him when he won't shoot. It's crazy. And I'm just making that point to talk about Randall. See what Randall did? So it's sometimes about what's within a guy and the pride that he has. So Payton maybe doesn't have that work ethic because any of these guys with the millions of dollars they're making, they can hire a shooter, a shooting coach to work with them in the off season. Or all these little guys that played Division I basketball, all these Duke scrubs like Chip England, whatever white guy that can shoot. Yo, call him up. What you doing? Come over and work out with me. Work on my shot. But he didn't. And he might even be out of the league in a year or two.
And you know what, Carl? Sometimes it takes a while. It took Rondo forever, but Rondo is just a better player than Payton. Not to sort of compare them.
I would say that you're right. I would say Rondo light, but I can't even say Rondo light.
Right. But you know what? Here's the thing with that. Rondo never forced shots. He never forced the three. He would take them when he wanted to, and he still plays that way. Same with Rose. Rose is shooting almost 40% from the three line. He's shooting somewhere like 37, 38% right now. He was never a great three-point shooter either. He still doesn't take a lot of them either. Payton, it's I don't even know. Go ahead, Carl.
But isn't that, more or less like having like floor generalship? And it's just something that Payton doesn't have on the level that a Rondo has or Derrick Rose. Because the biggest thing the Knicks did with D Rose is D Rose is out there in the important minutes when they need him. But they've done a good job of staggering his minutes. So he's out there. Like sometimes I'm looking at D Rose and I'm saying D Rose done had 14, 15 points, 7, 8, 9 assists, and he didn't play like 18 minutes. So it's like they're doing a great job, where that's concerned. So, I guess we can move away from Peyton. We're giving him too much time.
Right. Let's move on to the playing games. We just watched Indiana get destroyed. We just watched Indiana destroy the Charlotte Hornets 144-117. Going into that game, I kind of wanted Charlotte to win, but Indiana just had a better team, and Sabonis put it on them.
And he only scored 14 points.
Yeah. He would have had a triple-double if he did.
Yeah, 14 points, 21 rebounds, 9 assists.
Yep.
And I was pulling for Charlotte. I live in Carolina, so I have a soft spot for them. But I didn't think they would beat like that. No.
Charlotte don't play no defense, though.
Nope.
Yeah.
And also, Charlotte, prior to tonight's game, they had lost five of their last 6 games. And I factored that in. I said, well, you can't go into the playoffs like that. And plus, they're a little bit younger than Indiana.
Plus, Indiana didn't go into this game on no tear either, and they had injuries. So again,
Miles Turner was done.
Yeah, LeVert. They were lucky to get Brogdon back. But when you look at this type of game, Mark, it goes back to how me and you started this. This is really a farce. You got 2 below 500 teams playing each other to move on to the next round to play another under 500 team to be the 8th seed. And what's the chances of the 8th seed beating a 1 seed? Slim to thin. But we could have did this 5 days ago.
Yeah,
we're going to be on 5, 6.
Right. And Indiana on paper is a playoff team. Indiana on paper is a playoff team. They coach and the injuries, and he should get fired after this.
Well, the thing with Indiana is so you had a decent coach there.
Yep.
You had a decent coach there. Mm-hmm. You shitted on them, and you basically put somebody in there that don't know what the hell they're doing. Don't know what the hell they're doing because they overachieved is what I'm trying to say. They didn't anticipate. They didn't anticipate them doing anything this season. They were decent. They were consistent enough that they showed up each game, but they overachieved. And the problem with them is now their organization is the dudes don't listen to what the coach is saying. They just gonna go out and do what they want to do and play how they want to play. And it's good enough. It's good enough to get them. I think they'll be one of the teams, but then they're gonna get blasted when they play the legitimate playoff teams.
Right.
Well, they had a lot
from
of injuries too, though.
West Coast. Did you watch the game?
Yeah, I watched the full game. Sabonis, controlled the games from beginning to end.
Right.
With a little help from Brogdon.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good to watch. At this point, I'm not about to keep on bringing up the tournament. It's here. Mm-hmm. Now let's see if they're gonna bring it next year. If they don't bring it next year, then cool.
Right.
I'm not about to keep on.
Right. Do you think the coach gets fired after this?
Of course, he needs to get fired. And you know what? I looked up and they said LeVert wasn't playing. I'm like, damn, is he injured? No, he got hit with COVID.
He just had a rough year this year.
Yeah, so 10 to 14 days he'll be out. Then he'll be back. That's if they make it.
Right.
And they're missing Miles Turner.
Right. He tore the plantar in his big toe,
Mm.
which I know that's painful.
And they still
he
blew
ain't playing
Charlotte
no
out.
more. Yeah.
144. They still put up a buck 40.
Still blew them
Yeah.
out.
A buck 40.
That guy Brissett was he a good player, good pickup. Cause
Yeah.
he came out of nowhere. He been holding it down.
Yo, how many Holiday brothers is it? This
It's
is
like
another
three
one.
of them.
Three.
There's three of them.
They got 2 of the 3.
Right. They got Aaron.
Yeah.
Aaron and Justin.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Justin and Drew are the good ones.
Right.
It goes to show one thing, and I could ask Bishop about this. I've watched LaMelo Ball all year during the games that he actually played. He started off good. He floundered during the end of the season. Somebody got to grab him and say, you don't have to put that much mustard on every hot dog. There is a way to play this game. He became a star throwing alley-oops to Miles Bridges. I mean, let's be honest. Miles Bridges was his highlight reel.
Right.
But that's expected, though. He's only, 19?
Right.
So, I say he just had an overall good year. It would be a problem if this was his 3rd year in the NBA still playing like that.
My point is, Dominic, is if somebody don't pull his coat now, it's going to be a 2nd and 3rd year that this continues. Because he's out of control. And the combination of him and Rozier, because Rozier never saw a shot he didn't like. He shoots a little too damn much. I'm going to be honest again, I've watched them all year. I watched the Hornets all year.
Dom, you probably played with dudes like Rozier. He's always hot, even when he's not.
Yeah.
Scary Terry.
Yeah, he's in his own head, Carl. But I don't know if Bishop, I'm pretty sure Bishop watches a lot of Hornet games. But I've never seen the guy. I mean, he just takes some bizarre shots, man.
So I think with LaMelo Ball, I think what teams hello? Yeah, I think what teams realize is LaMelo Ball hurts you when he's getting everybody else involved, when he's getting up and down the court, when the guys are running, when he got those young guns, when he got this dude high flying and whatever, then that makes that team really impossible to beat because they got a lot of scorers. So what teams started doing is like, okay, let's slough off of him, let's make him the scorer, and he got sucked into it. He had a few good games, put up some buckets, and then he started thinking like, yo, I'm really a legitimate scorer in this league. And then what happens is the 60 to 75 points that he may have assisted on or got guys up with that youthful exuberance and playing and getting up and down the court that he had an impact on, they're not getting those 60 to 75 points that he influences. Now it's only maybe like 35 to 40 points. And then you keep coming up short. And it's like, yo, it's not enough. It's not enough, right?
And they also miss Gordon Hayward because he had, balance to what Rozier and LaMelo Ball do offensively. I know LaMelo's shooting percentage at the end of the year, it started to decline. Because like Bishop said, he started jacking shots and taking bad shots.
Let's remember, when you talk about the one that's losing 5 out of 6, 5 in a row, whatever it was, 5 of those games, Miles Bridges was hurt.
Right.
He had he was in COVID protocol. Excuse me. So when they went on that slide, it was when Miles Bridges wasn't playing. And for those of y'all that don't get to see Miles Bridges play, here's a guy that improved every facet of his game since he got drafted in the same draft class as Kevin Durant.
Right.
He's improved in everything: rebound, defense, 3-pointer. He always had the athletic ability, but now he took the time to work on his game, and he is what people thought he was going to be when he came out of college, except the front office.
But sometimes, Dom, too, you get lucky and you get fortunate that things happen that you can shine. And because Hayward does what he always does and get hurt, that worked out for Bridges because they finally just, he was able to shine and do what he could do. Because when Hayward showed up and it's like Hayward's the guy, right? So then he shows up and he's the guy, but then he gets hurt. And then if you notice, because I have a fantasy team where I had Hayward, and I only picked Bridges up because I knew he was going to play once Hayward was out. And so I started watching, checking out some of the games, and I'm like, this kid is going bananas. And then it kind of bugs you out sometimes because it's like it's the same situation with Boston. Y'all didn't spend the money to get this dude, and y'all might not have needed him in the first place.
Right.
Well, I think what happens they got in Charlotte. I'm glad you brought that up because Charlotte's going to have the same problem that they had in Boston. It's like, dude, you were sitting on because now you can't put this dude back on the bench. You can't put him back on the bench.
Right. And then
is not the bottle.
Right, and then Malik Monk also played well. I don't know why they brought Terry Rozier. Why they kept him when you have Malik Monk?
I gotta disagree with you. I'm picking up Terry Rozier and Malik Monk. Just sit there. When we need you, just come out and play.
Right,
No,
but
Malik Monk can't stay off the weed.
That's the rumor.
He can't stay off the
and he's
weed.
inconsistent. And they got a log jam now. They got Graham, they got Ball, they got Rozier. It's like a log jam. And Graham is the best shooter out of all of them.
Yes, he is.
Right.
He could be the Knicks starting point guard.
Yeah, but I think going forward though, Dom, now they're gonna have to figure out what to do with like Rozier and those other guys because you got Ball, but at the end of the day, you still drafted a kid that was like 18, and they needed to see what he's gonna be. And now that I think that they've seen him, now you make moves going forward to say, now we're not gonna keep all these extra guys because y'all extra guys. We need to get something to make us better. And a cat like Graham, I like Graham because he's a tough little guy. He can shoot. Graham could play anywhere in this league.
Right.
There's a bunch of teams that would want him. So now you got to decide who you're going to get. I mean, I think Rozier is going to be the tougher guy to move because Rozier strikes me as a guy, his contract, and he plays, as Dom said, to me, he plays like he's better than he is. He thinks he's better than he is. And I'm just glad that Charlotte got him so the Knicks didn't get him. Because we'd be sitting up here watching him shooting 37%. And then everybody would be wowing on those games where he get hot and drop 40, but not realizing that he's very inconsistent.
When the Hornets signed, when the Hornets signed Rozier last year, I thought that was the Knicks' opportunity to try to snatch Graham. I was thinking what's the Hornets gonna do with Graham? Then they go draft Ball. I'm like, he wouldn't have been a bad fit on the Knicks. I'm just saying, like Carl said, he's tough. He ain't afraid. He'll get in your face. He plays good defense, and he can shoot the lights out. So, and he's fast.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Alfred Payton. Yeah, okay.
Well, think about that. You're right about that. If you make that comparison, can you see how much of a difference that would have been between those two? Yeah.
And with that, fellas, let's move on. Currently playing, the Washington Wizards are playing the Boston Celtics. For me,
who won?
It's Washington's up by 6.
Yeah, 44-38.
Yeah,
towards the end of the second quarter. Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, about 3 minutes left. It's just an ugly game. It's like these cats. They out here, and it's nothing distinguishable about distinguish about the game.
Right. Listen, Washington at the end of the season they got hot. Dom from Chi-Town, you know how we do. The Wizards have won 17 of their last 23 games. They've had the 9th best defense over that period, the 9th best offense. The only thing they don't do is they take the least threes in the league, but they attack the rim. And I know people try to diminish Westbrook and his accomplishments, but once he got healthy, once him and Beal gelled, once they got some of the other players who are not healthy back, and he started doing his thing. People try to say that him getting triple doubles is a fad. He's diminished the stat. No, it's hard to get a triple double in any NBA game, in any basketball game. And Bradley Beal just balled out this year. What are you guys' thoughts on them playing Boston? I think Washington is going to beat Boston.
Yeah, they're going to beat them. I just want to say this. Only reason why a point guard like Russell Westbrook is able to get a triple-double is because everybody is shooting threes. So
right,
that ball is right. It's just long rebounds. So I don't even know what people. I'm just say this, man. Stop living in a damn time machine. Right. And I know for a fact you're not watching basketball. You're just living in a time machine.
Right.
And they're not going to get far if they make it. The Washington Wizards need to draft a shooter and a defensive wing. And probably go get a nice little big man. You know, they'll be all right.
Right.
To me, they've been playing exciting basketball in my opinion.
They have.
Every time I watch them, I don't be like, oh, this is boring, let me cut it off. Like, no, it's been exciting. Him and Bill.
Yeah, so one of the things that you got to keep in mind, I've been lusting after Bill for a minute. Word up. I want him on the Knicks.
He's not coming, brother.
I want him on the Knicks because one of the things that they got to realize is like, so even playing their best basketball, like let's just say for argument's sake, the Wizards, like Russell Westbrook didn't play like dog shit for the whole year until the last 25 games, 30 games. And they didn't have some of the injuries that they had, and they actually did play defense and didn't let teams drop 150 on them. You know, let's just say none of that happened, and they were in the playoffs. Like they still are not gonna be. They're still not going anywhere. That's what I'm saying. Like you got a max player, and you're still not going anywhere. The best that you can finish is 7th or 8th. The best that you can finish is 7th or 8th and be eliminated in the first round. So again, it's like, what are you doing? Like you're not. Your fan base,
that's not Westbrook's fault or Beal's fault.
It's the organization.
It's the organization's fault, right?
And the coach.
That's why you got to make different decisions.
Care for him.
That's why you got to make different decisions because you got these two players. So Westbrook, fine. His triple doubles. Anybody who's trying to discredit that doesn't really know basketball because again, you can't as a guard. Even if they shooting 3-pointers, you still got to go get the rebound. You still got to go in there and get the rebound. You still got to get the assist. You still got to score. So to try to discredit that, anybody on that level, it's like people don't understand how basketball works. So I don't even.
Westbrook got like 12 rebounds now, and it's a minute left in the second quarter.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? And that's good scouting report too, because Boston they just weak in the hole.
That's right. Yep. Play all your big men against Boston.
Let's just be honest. But when it comes to Westbrook, there's only one person that started this fiasco. That was Stephen A. Smith.
Yes.
The same one who had the Knicks dead, 2 weeks into the season. Now he's pumping this talking about go New York. Oh, enough. Stop. There was going to come a time. I happen to like Russell Westbrook. There was going to time when Russell Westbrook hit that switch that said Russell Westbrook. And he was going to be Russell Westbrook. I will tell you this. If anybody believes stat pad and the stat padding, I'll let you believe that. But at 6'3", averaging 10, 11 rebounds, that's some serious stat padding if you believe that.
With 10 assists, and they say he's selfish.
I'm just talking about the rebounds, Mark. There's power forwards in this league and centers that aren't averaging the rebounds as Russell Westbrook.
Right.
The rest of that nonsense, I might kind of sort of say, yeah, you could shoot enough to get 10 points. You can find guys open to get 10 assists. But at 6'3", getting 11 rebounds a night, stop it. then again, like I always said, it took 54 years for somebody to average a triple double, and now he's done it 4 years. Now we're talking about stat padding. He ain't win a ring. Did Oscar Robinson win a ring? Win a ring when he got a triple double? But did he win it the year they got a triple double? No.
I will look that stat up.
He didn't. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't, because he played with Lou Alcindor.
Right. They did not win the chip the year he had his triple double. So now we want to say Westbrook didn't win a ring, but he's got 4 triple doubles under his belt. Really? At 6'3", Oscar Robinson was a lot bigger than 6'3". So Oscar getting 10 rebounds with a lot of guys not shooting threes, that was okay because he was a bigger guard. Russell Westbrook is 6'3", guys, getting more rebounds than Anthony Davis.
Yeah, but you know what, Dom? That becomes so. You know what it is? You're making an excellent point, but I think this shows where we're at overall. How the argument becomes subjective, because if somebody doesn't like Westbrook, they're going to point out the flaws in his game, and that's their reason for saying this, that, or. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so that's their reason for for knocking his game or knocking his accomplishments. Because when you look at that and when you talk to people, like when we went back and forth a little bit on our text chat today, we talked about Bird, right? And I said I hated Bird when he played,
right.
But you can't take nothing away from what his accomplishments were. You know, he was slow, he was white, he could shoot, he non-athletic, and was still busting everybody's ass. So it's like me now saying, yo, Bird was a bum. Like, he couldn't play now. You know what I'm saying? It's like dudes get caught up in all this, and it's really just being subjective. If you capping for somebody, that's what it is. I'm a cap for this dude, and then I'm a detract from him, because when I compare him to my dude, I'll say, well, my dude is better because he's got 2 rings, and your dude just got triple doubles. I mean, think about it. We saw it at the Hall of Fame. They up there talking Robert Horry should be in the Hall of Fame because he got 7 rings. Come on, man.
So there's been a lot of suspect things that Stephen A has said. So you got to take what he says with a grain of salt. And what really fed
not
it
a
up.
grain of salt. He just spews pure caca.
Right. And then when he made the comparison. When he made the comparison that Kyrie Irving is better than AI, I'm like, okay, so at this stage, nobody should pay attention to anything that you ever have to say from this point moving forward, because you have clearly deluded yourself into thinking that you understand what you're talking about. It's like AI went to the championship with Eric Snow and Aaron McKee in the starting lineup.
Don't forget George Lynch. Don't forget George Lynch.
George Lynch. Yeah.
Geiger.
Yeah. And Matt Geiger to the championship against the Lakers. It still held his own. You understand what I'm saying? Like, to the point
Kyrie
where
Irving can't even do that. If you let Kyrie Irving run his team, he's going to do you see the bullshit he's doing now? He's going to do that when he's able to run the team. So I get you.
But here's the weird thing. Here's the weird thing about Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith rode AI's jock his whole time. His whole
when he was down in Philly,
based around Allen. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's who he built his resume on.
But that's how they fell out. That's how they fell out, Dom. They fell out though, because what happened was AI. AI was with. He had the tat. It was crew thick. So he had his Virginia Beach people that was, with him, his people. And what happened is he let Stephen A. in that circle. And then by letting Stephen A. in that circle, instead of Stephen A., Stephen A. used that. And then when AI started seeing certain articles and stuff written about him, he knew it didn't come nowhere but from this dude. Because he I'm inviting you in, we cool like that. But at the end of the day, it was a come up for Stephen A. Because if Iverson don't take to Stephen A. like that, Stephen A. ain't on ESPN right now. You built your name. That was like some Howard Cosell, Muhammad Ali shit. Nobody would have known who you was. Come on, man.
Right. And Stephen A. He flips more than a gymnast.
He's gonna have a great career. He'll have a great career.
One minute he riding with you, next minute he's detracting you.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
He sells more flip flops than Old Navy. I happened to be stationed in PA during that time when it was the Iverson and Stephen A. Smith. I just happened to be there, and I'm thinking to myself, one, who is this guy? You know, I know he wrote for the Philadelphia Inquirer, you know, and then I fast forward 15, 16 years later, you know, this guy rode Iverson's jock to stardom. And now you're going to say some bizarreness because, again, it goes back to Carl.
Well, Stephen A. is a genuine dude, and you could see that in his whole vibe that he's just not a genuine dude.
So let me say this though. What Stephen A. something about what he said though. See, he said that, and this is just my take, and you guys let me know if you can feel me what I'm saying as far as basketball concerned. Like AI, it was nobody like AI because he was just he was an outlier. He was an outlier because as small as he was, he dominated the game. As small as he was. And then you have somebody like Kyrie. If you stood both of them next together, I would tell you that Kyrie is a more skilled player. He's a better shooter, better handle, but it's just something that when you get on the court that you can't account for. AI has that. Like if Kyrie had it like AI did, Kyrie would probably be one of the best players, top 2, top 3 guys in the league. But AI just AI just had this way when you like if you've ever seen him play, they listed this dude at 6 feet. What was he? 5'10", 5'9", maybe
5'11".
You know, like he was a
$150, $160.
So let me when they played against the Lakers, right? When they played against the Lakers, and you got the biggest dude on the court, the biggest dude in the league, talking about, I'm gonna put this little dude on his ass. And every time he put him on his ass, he came back the next time harder. And before you know it, Shaq had like 5 fouls. It's like, it was like, wait a minute, like
I used to have 40, right? He had 40 that game.
Well, remember that first game though, and that's really what made the Lakers realize, we can't play with this dude. Because if the rest of these dudes, they role players, but if this dude get rolling like that, we ain't gonna be able to do nothing with him. And think about it. Even if they didn't win the series, if the Lakers didn't wake up, that could have messed around and went like 6 or 7 games. And then you never know what's gonna happen when you got a cat that could just take the game over. Because
that's why Kobe said, let me guard him. Kobe was like, nah, I don't care about Tyronn Lue, whoever. Nah, I got him.
He was cooking him.
I got him.
Let me tell you a funny story. A funny story about Stephen A. Smith. The interview was too long because I don't think I'll be able to send it in a text. It's about 6-7 minutes long. Do you guys remember the shooting in the South Carolina church?
Yes.
Quite a few years ago. The kid ran that church and shot up all those people.
That Dylan Roof, yeah.
Right. So I have known Frank Isola for years. He used to send me the New York Daily News clips when he wrote for the New York Daily News when I was in Germany. Long story. My mother used to send me the clips. And Frank Isola caught on to this young man stationed in Germany on the sports pages. Fast forward years later, I call in Sirius XM one day, and he said, I knew this guy, Dominic, from Germany. Was you ever in the Army? I was like, yeah, I just retired not long ago. It was him that was sending me the clips. Fast forward. During that shooting in Charleston, South Carolina, Frank Isola reached out to Stephen A. Smith and said, hey, here's this guy's phone number, because the subject on his show on ESPN was having more security. He said, reach out to this guy and let him talk to you about this. So I get a call from, I think it was ESPN when he was doing ESPN radio, where I think he ended up going back to. I get a call. Right. And the first thing I say when I get on the phone, before they even go live, I said, I'm going to tell you one thing, Mr. Smith. I'm a grown-ass man. You ain't going to be yelling at me on no radio. He got quiet. Serious. This is I got to send you all this. It's on YouTube, actually. I got to send you all the clip. That part ain't on there, but I told them when they called me and said, hey, this is Mr. Smith. I was like, okay, hey, Mr. Smith, I'm a grown ass man. I listen to your
So-
radio station every now and then, and I notice you cut people off and you be yelling at them. Don't do that to me, because I'll hang up on your ass. Fast forward,
Yeah.
this interview went on for about 6-7 minutes on the radio. Normally, you get to call in, you might get a minute, 45 seconds.
Right.
This went on for like 6-7 minutes. So at that time, I said, well, you know what? The guy's willing to listen. But then I kept remembering this same Stephen A. Smith from when I was stationed in PA, that he was just a coat rider, but he coat wrote it into success. I got to give him credit where credit is due. But one day I'm going to send y'all this shit, man. If it could fit on a text, he kept me on the phone for about 6-7 minutes, asking me questions about security and all of this wild stuff. Nothing about sports, guys. We didn't talk nothing about sports. Straight up security. So come that Monday, Frank Isola calls me and said, Tom, did he ever reach out to you? I'm like, yeah, we talk, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I actually got on Sirius XM with Frank Isola. He calls me in the morning. And again, I ain't going to get winded. There's 2 people on Sirius XM that owe me dinner. One is Brian Scalabrine, because he kept telling me the Knicks weren't going to have a better record than the Celtics.
He owes
And
you what?
crazy
What does Scalabrine owe you?
Yeah, and what's the name already invited me to Marietta because he owes me dinner. Coach Sam Mitchell.
Somebody got background noise.
Where's the background noise?
Somebody cooking.
Yeah.
Dicing up
Cooking
some
Monticelli tonight.
So now I have a date in Marietta, Georgia with Sam Mitchell.
Yeah,
All
Dom.
because
I
they
heard
called
you.
me challenging me.
Yeah, I heard you on Sirius. I heard you on the radio. I heard you on the radio. I was like, yo, I know that cat. You were
Bishop,
very
let me tell you
engaging.
something.
Yeah.
Bishop, they text me in the morning. Serious shit, guys.
Yeah.
I don't just call in on a whim.
Yeah.
They actually have my phone number and text me. Then they said one of the callers called in and said, hey, you should use this guy's voice, as a voiceover. So I had to explain to Frank. Yeah, I had to explain to Frank off air that, due to my disability, I can't make but so much money, blah, blah, blah. So now they're trying to work out that, only place to talk hoops is on the starting lineup on Sirius. Yeah, but Bishop, they reach out to me. I don't
I heard that morning. And if you want to do some voiceovers, I'm trying to start this porn thing, so I can use your voice.
What? Bishop.
I can use your voice.
Bishop.
Didn't
we have this conversation
earlier? The show?
So I'm just saying.
Hey, Dom got that voice though, for whatever.
Yeah.
I'm about to mute Bishop forever.
Come on, man.
Fellas, let's move on to the other game. San Antonio versus Memphis. I'm gonna actually enjoy this game. Because of my man, you know who. Y'all know who? Justice Winslow. No, I'm joking.
Oh,
it's all about the John Morant show. Huh?
Whatever happened to Justice?
He's on injuries and he's on Memphis's bench.
I thought he was on Memphis.
He's a Duke player. What you expect?
Yeah.
Getting on him, I remember when he got drafted, and it's a guy that was in the paint group. He's not in the group anymore, but he was just like Justice Winslow want do this, that, and the third. I'm like, no, he's not.
He was a good defensive player.
Yes,
he
was. But he wasn't a great offensive player. He give you. He's a typical 3-and-D guy.
I wouldn't even give him the 3 part because he just started making threes a little bit too. He was just in the right situation in Miami with the way that they play. Because anywhere else he would have been a wash. But because Miami plays defense and he got out there and he was aggressive. But the thing was, he didn't have to come there and be like, okay, I'm a number 1 draft pick. Because if he would have went somewhere else and y'all picked him number 1, y'all would have been like, this dude can't shoot. This dude, you know what I'm saying? He would have washed.
He was a big athletic body that could guard
Yeah.
multiple positions. He could guard 1, 2, and sometimes 3. So they would throw him on like LeBron, or because he could match beef for beef. But other than that, he's garbage. He's from Duke.
Right.
And it's funny that you say that, because that's when you look at it, these guys' pedigree. He went to that school and got him drafted #1. And if some other team had taken him, you'd be to sit your franchise back 5 years and be calling Krzyzewski up, cursing his ass out.
Yeah.
Y'all do remember there was a lot of beef that the Knicks should have took him over Porzingis. They came out and said,
Yeah, they both were garbage at the end of it. They both were garbage.
But get into Memphis. Memphis is the best transition team in the NBA. They are also in the bottom 5 in half-court offense.
They
and
play
on defense. On defense, they try to force a lot of turnovers to get into their transition offense.
Yeah,
The
but that's
Spurs-
not defense. That's gambling.
Yes.
You're right. The Spurs have the best transition defense. They rank 2nd in lowest turnover rate, and they're the best team in the mid-range. Typical pop team, It runs on cylinders. They just don't have the Spurs don't have a superstar. I like DeMar DeRozan, and he's a typical pop player. Mid-range guy, not really a great 3-point shooter, solid defender, and he makes the right play, moves the ball. I want Memphis to beat San Antonio.
They will.
I'd like the Baghdad Bullies to beat San Antonio. I can't stand San Antonio. I don't care who they're playing. I can't root for them. Sorry. I just can't root for them.
Yeah. To me, Memphis, the problem with Memphis is I like Ja Morant. I like Ja Morant. But until he commits to defense like Dylan Brooks, commits to defense, and Jaren Jackson or whatever that kid, because that's the core
Jaren
of that
Jackson
team.
Jr.
Jaren Jackson Jr. Like they gotta figure out get him in a weight room or something, because he keeps getting hurt and he gets hurt, and it's like, yo, the kid is nice, but it's like, yo, you gotta be available. But if you get Ja Morant focusing on defense like Dylan Brooks, that team is going to be a problem moving forward with the bigs. They'll be a problem. But Ja Morant, he's exciting and explosive on offense, but his defense, it sucks. And it's like, okay, when they need a stop, he'll go the extra mile but it's like for the other 47 minutes, he's just gambling. He's always out of place, and it's like, yo, like, when are you guys gonna get this dude to focus? So you got Dylan Brooks, who's always guarding the best offensive player on the other team, and you don't see that that's what you guys need. And it's like that's why they're always losing.
I think that's
Dylan
coaching too.
Yeah, but Dylan Brooks is their best offensive player too.
But he's not consistent though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think that's coaching too. Where as far as like, Ja Morant is a young player, and he's not played for a coach that's dynamic enough to just say, this is what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And it's not optional. And when you come into the league, like it was excitement around him with the way that he plays. And like you mentioned about the steals and stuff, he's always trying to make a steal because he's looking for that flashy play. And then and realize that when you are playing the game, you know what? Yeah, those plays are going to come, but it's just about being consistent. So everything can't be dynamic. And I think that's what it is at that point. He's young. And then and when he gets up and when he plays another good point guard, he tries to wild out because, but you might score 30, but then he didn't gave up 35 or 40. So it's just a wash. So
Right.
So one of the things that I like, and I don't know if any of you guys noticed this, but even from the preseason, I like what and I'm not going back to the Knicks. I just like the coaching style where when somebody does something wrong, you correct it right there. You don't wait. You don't, like, when RJ misses a defensive assignment, when they call that timeout, he right in his face. It's like, dude, when Randall was screwing up in the preseason, or when Randall does like a Randall-esque like last season thing, yo, he'll call him on it like right then and there. That's what good coaches do.
Mhm.
Good coaches holding players accountable. They hold them accountable during the game. They don't have to get in the media and talk about it after the game or whatever. Nah, I'm right in your face right here, right now, so that you understand that that's not acceptable. And a lot
Yeah.
of his coaches don't do that. And that's what these young players like John Moran, these guys, yo, they need that from the jump so that you get these guys. So the second, when he gets to his second, third year, it's like automatic. And you've established a winning culture
It
from the
kicks in.
jump. Yeah,
Yep.
from the jump. And anybody else that comes in behind this dude knows I got to do this and I got to do this. And it's just a repetitive cycle. But you don't get these coaches that do that. And it's like, yo, you just set your team back because you don't get these guys when they first come in. You don't get them when they first come in.
Right.
Yeah, I think too though that's a situation where a lot of these cats they dance around the players because they know, okay, you get a young player, he's dynamic, and they trying to make that player the face of the franchise, and they don't want to alienate him. But then you really got to have a coach that's like, yo, I don't care if you on a 10-day or if you got 6 zeros behind your a number. This is how you're gonna play. And a lot of coaches don't do they don't do that. Like you can see that throughout the league when you see certain teams play. Like
Look at Minnesota.
Yeah,
Look at
exactly.
Karl
That's a
Anthony
great
Towns.
example.
I
That's
like
a great example.
I like that Jimmy Butler still go with Karl Anthony Towns because it's like, dude, you're 6'11" or 7 feet. What is your problem out here? Like he frustrates me. Like seriously,
and he has all the
want
skills.
To call
right,
all the skills he will, but he makes you want to call him out of his name. Seriously, it's frustrating.
Right.
And it's a person on this show that said that he was better than Anthony Davis. I'm gonna just let him ride with that shit.
What?
Get the hell out of here. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He ain't on the show, but he said that thousands of times on the show.
Yeah, it's like Karl Anthony Towns has a I don't care factor. Like it's like it's like if when you see that, like I see it when he plays, I'm like, damn dude, you showing up and don't give a shit and getting 20 and 10. What happened if you cared? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you play a little harder.
Right.
And Jimmy Butler said it best. I mean, you could say the same thing about Embiid and Simmons. Butler went both those places.
Oh my
God.
And
I never forget when Butler was on JJ Redick's podcast and he said, yo, I went here and all I want to do is win. And I then left. He said, but I left and see what happened when I went to Miami. But I was the asshole. Because he was getting at these dudes. And what happens is these young dudes come in the league and they've been boosted up. And like Dom said earlier, the league is marketing players. So you can come in and average 20-10 like Karl Anthony Towns and everybody talking about cat. But then Minnesota 20 and 62 every damn year. So it's like you marketing a guy and then he ain't winning. And then what happens is one or two things happen. He's gonna get big money to go to another team, and y'all gonna realize this dude ain't what he was cracked up to be.
Right. Look at how many times. Look at how many times they reset, moving different pieces around him.
Yeah, but you gotta think too. It's like the flip side of that is, okay, so if you about winning, and you about getting these guys to do what they needed to do, he was there. He had Jimmy Butler was there. He had Karl Anthony. And he had Wiggins there. So my thing is, if you really about that, so you were in two situations. If you really about that, you should have been able to get with these dudes because y'all on the same level. You should have been able to get with these dudes and be like, yo, I want to win. Like figure out, yo, do you want to win? If you want to win, this is what we're gonna have to do.
Oh, you talking about Butler?
Yeah, he went two places. The first place he fucked. When he went to Minnesota, he fucked. And it's like, yo, dude.
Not really. No.
That's on Karl.
They didn't want to work.
And Wiggins looked like he just got out of bed. Every time he show up at the game, you like, yo, you just got a nap?
And he's doing the same thing with Golden State, too. He only looks good.
They stopped listening.
Well,
I'm just saying, they stopped listening. Listening.
Bishop, here it is. Jimmy Butler is cut from the same mold as Kobe.
Yeah.
in a way. I'm here to work. I'm here to win. I don't care how you don't have to like me, but we're gonna try to win. Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins was on some contrary BS, and Tibbs was not having it either. You know, Tibbs they
was
did
on
not
that
want to
mad
work.
rapper shit.
They did
Yeah,
not
but
want to work.
my thing is, okay, you can't really come at me like that. If I can see it, if Kobe coming at you like that, you Jimmy
How?
Butler, you Jimmy Butler,
Nah, man. See, that's
you can't really
BS,
you can't really
See,
you can't really come at me like that, because what have you done? Who are you? Who are you? What have you really done?
I'm better than
Nah,
you.
he got it. Nah, Jimmy Butler got it out the mud. Like,
But I'm
you know
saying, what
how
has he done?
Tibbs. Nah,
What's his
listen, you know
accolades?
how Tibbs. Listen, you know how Tibbs is. When Jimmy Butler was with Tibbs in Chicago, Jimmy Butler had to play defense first.
Yeah,
Right?
before
Then
he
he
saw the
got.
floor.
Hold on. Then he got his minutes. Then he
Right.
provided the offense. Then
Right.
Chicago was damn near back on the map. See, that's what I'm saying with these dudes and what Dom said about they marketing players. They giving these players too much money. They have not earned shit. Just look at why is D'Angelo Russell in Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns? I mean, just look stupid. Both of them ain't accomplished nothing. But if you get Jimmy Butler and he's showing you what he's made of, and he want to go out there and win, he put it on the floor. Follow his lead. Look what Jimmy Butler just did with Miami, and people still this day right now saying Miami is a sleeper team.
Right.
So that's his accolades.
Here's
Yeah,
the
but
ironic
again,
thing.
what's his criteria?
Bishop.
I'm just saying, what's his credentials? Outside of that, what's his credentials?
He's
Please
an
explain.
all. Well, hold on,
let's
Dom.
talk.
He's
Go
an
ahead.
all-star.
Okay.
He's an all-star. He's been
All
to
right.
the playoffs many times. Karl
Okay.
Anthony Towns has always been in the cellar with whatever team he's been on in Minnesota.
How many championships he
Yeah.
got? How many?
His championships don't matter.
Right.
What do Karl
And
Anthony
that's-
Towns have?
Well, Bishop, if you
Again,
want to take it there, at least he's been to the finals.
Yeah, he
Right.
got to the
Listen
finals
to this.
last season, but before
But that's
that,
what I'm
what did he
saying.
do?
But see what he's saying is too. What Butler was saying, with them getting to the finals, that was a validation of the shit he had been saying before. Because he was just trying to tell these cats, if not even fall in line, you guys got talent. You want to play a certain way. This is the same way. And think about it. Sometimes the dude that's the best dude on the team, he may not be a leader. So sometimes you need the other cat that's going to be a leader. So maybe Towns, when you start looking at statistics and stuff like that, maybe he's better than Butler. But Towns ain't no leader. And then they brought another cat who ain't no leader with D'Angelo Russell. You know, they gonna both foul out of the game so they can go back in the locker room and play 2K. Like, come on, man.
Give me 1 minute, guy. Give me 1 minute, guys. Let's try to correlate this. Like Dom from LA now said, let's rewind this tape a little bit. Before Jimmy Butler and Tom Thibodeau, the Bulls were stuck in mediocrity after the Jordan rules, right? Remember? Let's go back a little bit.
After Rose, Boozer, and Dang.
Hold on.
And Noah.
Hold on. Yeah. Hold on. Them two guys with Rose and Dang, who all were product of Tom Thibodeau, made it to the conference finals.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, these same two guys, though they haven't won a chip, go to Minnesota. They make the playoffs for the first time in 15 years. But all that chaos you're talking about for the last 5 minutes, they make the playoffs for the first time in 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Keep fast forwarding. Everybody goes in different directions. Butler goes to Miami. They win the conference finals. They're in the finals. Tom Thibodeau goes to the Knicks, who have less talent than Minnesota. The Knicks in the playoffs, and Minnesota's back being what Minnesota was before Tom Thibodeau got there. Now, again, if you just want to predicate everything on rings, okay, you win. But I'm talking about going from 0 to 60 in a pretty good time stretch.
Yeah, but what I was trying to explain.
Two guys had something to do with all of them situations I just said. Chicago, Minnesota, the Knicks, and now Miami. Two guys had a nickel in that dime in all 4 of those places. And which team did not get better?
Minnesota.
Yep.
They made it to the
Okay,
playoffs for the first
But
time in
let
15 years.
Bishop finish his point because I think he didn't get a chance to finish his point. And let's
No,
let
so-
him finish his point.
Yeah. So what I appreciate you, Mark. I appreciate you, man. So what I was trying to say is, again, you can't. Sometimes being the leader is not about the dude with the loudest voice. I agree with that, and it's not about the dude coming in there with a stick or being disrespectful. Sometimes you got to meet people where they at. Is what I'm
But
saying.
I don't
So, and
think
if you
Jimmy
can't-
Butler was disrespectful.
Nah, dude.
I
when
think
he got,
just was hard. He just
nah.
was
When he got to a
hard-nosed.
point, you don't get to a point where you cursing out coaches and where you getting the subs and you calling dudes bitches in practice and all of that. You don't just get to that point. He was strong on it.
Unless he's Michael Jordan.
He was strong on it. But I'm saying, but then
Kobe Bryant.
but then you looking at a different level. Then that's what I'm saying. If you on that level, then you can come in there and say that. Then you could come in there with that. But if you're not on that level,
but here's
you
the
can't
thing:
come in there with
what if you know, we all weren't in their locker room, and if he's trying to talk to you as a man and say, "Listen, you should do this. Let's do this way," and you ignoring him or you flipping him off, it's going to escalate.
I just want to say this, right? Know your role and stay in your lane. If Karl Anthony Towns, we all know he's not a leader.
Mm-hmm.
He's baby diarrhea. So if somebody comes here and they better than you and they want to take the team over, fall in line because you ain't built for it. That's it. What are we talking about at the end of the day?
Yeah, but
I don't care what the organization said that was his team. You're not built for that. Know your role and stay in your lane. That's it.
And there's always going to be, again, I ain't gonna put an army hat on, but there's always different types of leadership. You could have your authoritarian, you could have your democracy type. Jimmy Butler is, and we don't know him, but he seems like the kind of guy that's just gonna say what's on the tip of his tongue because he's seen it. But again,
and he's gonna speak the truth.
Right, and sometimes the truth hurts people. It may heal you, but it's gonna hurt you at first. Some people can't get to the healing point, like the Wiggins and the Towns. But again, I go back to where has Jimmy Butler gone? Where that team has not got better. Yeah, they might not have won a chip, but we know plenty of guys that have gone from team to team. D'Angelo Russell, Wiggins. Speaking of Minnesota Timberwolves, these guys have gone from team to team, and that team has not gotten any better. Keep it real. I mean,
and Dom,
Jimmy Butler
you know
came in with the stick, and somebody didn't like it. But then again, guys, let's be honest, they were like that before Jimmy Butler got there, and he's seen it. He's in the same league as them.
But Dom, let me jump in on the situation with him and Philly because there was the same thing as Minnesota. He got there and he started getting that Simmons and Embiid, and because the franchise, when you got a guy who's coming to a franchise who's paid his dues around the league. You know, he's a hard knock life. Dom, the other Dom said it best. He from the mud. He wanted to come up grinder dudes. So he comes up and then he sees these guys who have this talent, and now they already getting put on this pedestal. But guess what? They've accomplished absolutely nothing. Oh, you average 20 and 10. Oh, you average 15 and 10. And then what have you done? And then he comes and he's about winning. And then what you did is you have this dichotomy where you have these young guys that is basically, who the F are you talking to? Even though they 20, 21, you got Butler, who's probably like 28, 29 years old. And he's telling these cats, and these cats, they just not trying to hear that. And that's happened to him in two places. And I'm going to bring up another player who is just like Butler, is Chris Paul. Chris Paul was getting that Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. He was telling them, I can't even pass y'all the ball late in the game. We can't run a set because y'all can't make a damn free throw. And they got mad.
Right.
You know?
And look at him now. He's hitting 70% or close to 70% on the free throw.
Yeah, but Chris Paul, I'm glad you brought that up because Chris Paul changed his approach is what I'm trying to say. So if you look at what Jimmy Butler was doing, okay, y'all mentioned that every place that he went to, they got better. Before Miami, where did he go? When he was in Chicago and they made the playoffs,
Chicago, Minnesota, Philly.
But I'm saying, where did they go? Where did they go?
Chicago went.
Okay.
Chicago went to the finals.
But Bishop, that's
Chicago
not.
went to the conference finals.
And Minnesota got eliminated,
but they made it to the playoffs for the first time in 15 years.
Hold on 1 second. Minnesota had more talent than, except for Philly, than Chicago, and Miami. You can't put it all on Jimmy if you're trying to say they didn't go anywhere.
No, the point that I was trying to make is he hasn't accomplished anything like that in the league is what I'm saying. So you don't get to come in.
Let me ask you this.
You don't get to come in and Debo dudes like you on that level, like you on that pedestal, because you haven't been to the promised land like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this, Dom. What has Rose done with the Knicks? The Knicks were floundering before he got there. They weren't as good as they are now. When he got in there, and he set the tone of what Tibbs is about. And he is one of the leaders of this team now. That's all Jimmy was trying to do. Maybe his gruffness and the way he does it.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you got to be an asshole, Bishop, because you can't tell me, guys, if we all know basketball, you cannot tell me that the Toronto Raptors were supposed to beat the Philadelphia 76ers when they had Embiid, Simmons, Butler. They were not a better team than Philadelphia. But again, the guys that have been spoon-fed, that didn't grind like Jimmy Butler, the Embiid, missing a playoff game because he had a stomach ache, because he ate too much the night before. This is the kind of shit that would irk somebody. Yeah, this is something that would irk a guy like Jimmy Butler, who Dominic says came from the dirt, worked his way up to this. But again, I go back to what team has not gotten better with Jimmy Butler. Again, if you're going to predicate everything on rings, then that's the sword you're standing on. I get it. I do. But you cannot tell me which team he went to that did not get better. And they had talent before he's
in Miami right now. What's the kid? Tyler Hero is feeling himself. Jimmy publicly said they soft. He said Miami was playing soft this year, which they were. Bishop, you said they need a big man, right? Miami?
Yep.
Right. So Jimmy is speaking truth. It might be gruff, it might be rough, but he's speaking the truth.
Right.
And Miami needs a big man. Tyler Hero needs to chill. You haven't done enough in the league to be doing what you're doing, trying to be a superstar. And I know you in Miami, so you feeling yourself, you getting Instagram models and all that. But you need to get back to work and get back to what put the spotlight on you, which is play your role. Like Dom from Shy said, play your role. And that's all Jimmy wants from his team.
Hey, Mac, let me ask Dom a question, right? So Dom, you in the Army, right? Well, you just retired, right?
Yeah, quite a few years ago.
So, okay, if you're on the battlefield, are you expected for the general to talk to you in a nice, pleasant voice? Hey, soldiers, I'm gonna need you to go over there and hide behind the rock, and when you see somebody, shoot them. They're going to give a direct order. Shut the fuck up and do exactly what the fuck I just said. I'm the general. Right. I don't understand these people who sit here and always feel as though somebody needs to always be kind and soft tone and just turn the volume down. Talk with 12-inch voices, please.
Right.
We're grown men.
Hold on, let him finish. Go ahead. Dom.
We're grown men. I'm tired of hearing this. We're grown men, and we got to sit here and talk with a 12-inch voice. I mean, just cut my balls off.
You bring up a good point, Dom, because I brought this up to Mark. I don't know if Bishop was with us at that time. That when I was in the Army, I was in charge of a whole company. You very seldom get to see a general who's telling you what to do. So I was telling Mark and them that one unit I went to, I said, hey guys, look, we're not going to have formations no more. Everybody looked at me like I'm crazy. What do you mean we're not going to have formations? No, I'm going to trust you to come to work. I'm going to trust you to go to lunch. I'm going to trust you what time it is for you to go home. Now, when that slips, we ain't punishing everybody. We're going to go to Dominic's section. We're going to go to Mark's section, and they're going to stay later. Everybody looked at me like I was crazy. And guess what? It worked. If I have to be in your ass every 5 minutes, then I'm not doing my job.
Right. Let me bring up
the information down to you. Not to sit there and watch everything you're doing. But this is the new NBA, guys. It's not,
It's not new. It's not new. It's not new. It's not new. It's nothing new.
Yeah, it is.
It's nothing new. Listen. If you
use the box, man.
What I'm saying,
you can't even say nothing. Look at Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons ran Jimmy Butler out, and Joel Embiid said on a podcast, like, man, I really wanted Jimmy Butler to stay. It was Ben Simmons. He's sitting there smashing on one of the Jenner sisters. He think he hot shot, and look at him, still ain't doing nothing.
If you look at it, it's like, okay, so Jimmy Butler came, he went to Minnesota. Dude, like, what are you gonna tell me? I make more money than you. What are you gonna tell me?
And see, that's not how men conduct themselves.
But I'm just saying,
if I'm a man and I see that you have accomplished more than me and you can help me out, my money has nothing to do with the freaking what you telling me.
But
look
Dom,
at these dudes.
Dom, you got a point, but that depends on that person's mindset. Because what you said, but what you saying from your mindset, I totally understand it and I totally agree with it. But then you got some people, they in bizarro world. So they basically, they on some LL Cool J. I'm only 18, making more than your pops. So how you gonna tell me something,
right.
and that's where it gets twisted. So that starts to become into a lot of things that we've all talked about. It could be maturity. It could be, and like I said, if Butler's 28, 29 and he didn't put his time in and see what he came from, look at these cats. These cats now was getting money at 19 because they only played a year in college.
Basically.
And then basically everybody's just been blowing fluff up their ass for the whole time. And now when they get to the league, instead of the league just letting dudes get drafted, you sit there on draft night and they tell you what everybody's gonna be. And you can sit up there and be like, this shit is like the lottery. Cause like if it's 60 mofos, like probably like 45, 50 of them ain't gonna be shit. So it's like, but then you get all these guys, they get drafted here, and then you hitch your wagon to this guy, and your franchise, it's about marketing too. We want you to come to the game. We got this guy. We're building around this guy. This guy's scoring 20. This guy's scoring 20 and getting 10 rebounds, whatever. So I wanted to jump into when Jimmy Butler went to Philly. When he went to Philly, Jimmy Butler was not only upset with Simmons and Embiid, he was on Brett Brown too, because he said they would do stuff in the game, and then he would wait for Brett Brown to address it, and Brett Brown wouldn't say nothing. He said one time they went in a film session, they got blown out by, like he said, 40. And he said they had a film session, so he was waiting for them to show the film and start pointing out who knew to do what. He said they went in there, turned the projector on, sat there, watched the shit again, and left. And then they said Butler was wilding out. He said, what the fuck was that? And that's when he started screaming on Brett Brown, because it's like, yeah.
And you see where Philly is now with Doc Rivers and where Embiid is.
Exactly. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Butler was doing what he was doing, and it took these guys maybe to get a coach, but Butler wasn't wrong in what he was doing. He plays a certain way. He had an expectation of his teammates, but these guys are on this prima donna stuff, And this is where you have this clash of cultures between that. I don't want to say old school and new school thing, but just kind of the way they roll right now. Like, you know, we can't get with that. Like that, they shit is skinny jeans. You know what I'm saying? Like we just ain't doing that. But that's what they doing.
Yeah, but
and then you gotta find, and you gotta coexist. And then that coexistence gets tough because we are a little more. We not as thin skinned. Like we could have an argument or have a discussion, and then we're gonna talk about it or whatever, work it out. We got to point out our differences. But one of them now, as soon as you say something to them, you know, it's like, who are you to say something to me?
Right,
you know?
and it's like you gotta be the person. It's like if you're gonna be a leader, you gotta know when people are gonna receive, or you gotta change the message. That's what Chris Paul did. You understand? That's the difference. That's the difference.
Think he did? Why do you think he changed his message?
Because he realized that it's a clash, and if I want to stay in here and I want to have the longevity, I have to. He tried to do that with Houston. He tried to do the same.
Listen, Bishop. Bishop, I disagree with you. You know why? Because I think Chris Paul's been who he was gonna be. I think in Houston because Harden was there, and then when Harden with his bullshit, that's what ended up getting Chris Paul up out of there, right?
And then when he went to, with his bullshit.
And then when he went to OKC, you see how OKC took off. But here's another thing that's key. When he went to Phoenix took off because guess who accepted him with open arms and accepted him as a leader? No, Devin Booker. Devin Booker.
But it was because of the coach. But it was because of the coach.
Bishop, cool out, man. Cool out, seriously, bro.
It was because of the coach.
Cool out, man. Look what Chris Paul did with OKC, bro.
Yeah, it was a bunch of young dudes, and he came in there and
hold
changed his
on.
message.
I've been paying it, coming on this show for a minute. You and I can't remember his name. You and him berated Chris Paul. I'm just talking crazy. I'm like, what is you all talking about? Let me finish. You all berated him. He goes to OKC. They go to the playoffs, and it's a bunch of young guys. So I'm saying to myself, what are these two talking about Chris Paul? Then he goes to Phoenix, and he's doing great. So he did not change his tone. It's the player. That's it.
You got to remember.
What I'm trying to tell you is, you don't think when he went to OKC with a bunch of young dudes, you don't think he changed his messaging from when he was with the Clippers or when he was with Houston? You don't think he changed his messaging for all them young Thundercats from an old school Chris Paul?
For OKC, Bishop, I would say no, because here's the thing. Him and Harden butted heads, and that's what got him out of Houston because Houston was going to roll with Harden regardless. And then you see what happened the next year when they got Westbrook. So here's the thing. So now when Chris Paul goes to OKC, you got all these younger cats, but guess what? They listen to this dude. And that's a difference. So as far as whereas I don't think Chris Paul changed anything. He just had cats that was receptive to how he gets down. And didn't take offense. Like they felt like they had something to gain and learn. And now when you see with Phoenix, where I think it's a big difference because Devin Booker's their best player. Devin Booker accepted him with open arms and you are the leader. And then Chris Paul and Devin Booker even said, yo, we both are alike. We play with each other in the summertime and we go at it. We go back and forth. So then you realize you got a cat now. Devin Booker don't look like that cat, but then you don't want to say he's too light skinned for that, but he grimy too. So now these cats, you got a cat that will go back and forth with you, but then he not sitting here taking it like, yo, this dude just barking on me. He's looking at it like this dude wants to win and get better. So I think it's a situation where he stayed who he was, and then think about it. Look at everybody's trajectory. Look at Blake Griffin. Look at DeAndre Jordan. Look at all these. I think that's what we need to look at it this way. When these cats all break up, look and see what happens. Look where Jimmy Butler wound up. He was in the finals last year. Look what Chris Paul is. He led Phoenix to first place. He led OKC that had no business that was trying to tank last year and led them to the playoffs. And then what's Blake Griffin and Brian Jordan? Blake Griffin hadn't dunked in 2 years. He dunked the other night. So so you look at these cats, and then sometimes the truth is right in front of you, because when you see where these guys' trajectory winds up, then you kind of can, you weren't there, but you can kind of put pieces together and be like, yeah, okay, I can see where this went down. you know.
So I think you guys are misconstruing what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he changed the type of guy who he is. I'm saying he changed his delivery. When he was with New Orleans, when he was playing with David West, he was an asshole. When he's playing with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, he was an asshole. When he got to OKC, that team had a bunch of young dudes. He had to change his approach. It's the same Chris Paul. It's the same
Well,
Chris Paul, but he had to get those
wait,
guys to buy in.
Well,
He had to get
Bishop,
those guys.
Well, Bishop, you don't
Bishop.
think it's more or less the guys listening to you instead of guys fighting against you? Like
Not
I
just-
don't think the message changed. I think it's him saying the same
delivery.
things.
The
No, I
delivery.
think he's saying it the same way he was always saying it. But these cats are listening, and the other cats was like, "I'm too
Just-
good for you to be telling me anything."
Yeah.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
personality class, man. That's
They-
all. Personalities.
That's a
I
good
guess.
example.
I guess.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Bishop. Sometimes your reputation precedes you. So
Mhm.
when
Right.
you go to a place like OKC, they know this guy is. It's no secret. He's not going to turn off being Chris Paul because he's been Chris Paul for 17 years. Some people are receptive. And again, Bishop, there are sometimes you could try what you said. You could try both ways. You could try to in your face. You could try to baby talk. You could do whatever you want. You could switch your method, your tone, your delivery method. Some people just ain't feeling it because they're stuck in their ways.
Or some
Philadelphia
people
was a
just don't
prime
want to
example.
listen and want to do what
Right.
they want to do. Which is
Philadelphia, when Butler was in Philadelphia, that was a prime example. You had all this talent that have been together for a couple of years. All of a sudden, you get Jimmy Butler, and y'all are on the verge of going to the finals. On the verge of going to the finals. So his method didn't change. Their method didn't change either. Because if their method would have changed and at least met him halfway, there's no way in hell Philadelphia loses to Toronto.
and
No
and it
way.
also ties into the coach in Brett Brown, who Bishop don't you even have said Brett Brown was a putz.
Garbage. He was garbage.
Yeah.
Right. And then we find out the inmates were running the asylum and he let them.
That's
Let's-
happening
let's-
in more than just Philadelphia. That's
Right.
Yeah.
Let's
Doc
move
Rivers
on.
experienced it last year.
Right. Right. Let's
Doc Rivers,
move
the
on.
ultimate coach.
Let's move on to the Lakers versus Golden State. I don't know who to pick, but I'm gonna pick Golden State because I'm a roll with Team Light Skin Chef Curry. Because
So how does the play-in work, Mac? Though, like, so does the Lakers have to? Does they have to beat them twice? Like, how does that work?
they gotta play. Every team has to play 2 games to get in.
No.
No,
Don't
Nah,
worry.
it
Yeah.
don't work like that. Nah.
Well, break it down for me,
The
fellas.
Yeah,
The
go
7
ahead,
and 8,
Dom.
the 7 and 8 play. The loser of the 7th and 8th goes home. The winner plays the loser of the 9-10. Like if San Antonio wins, they play the loser of the Lakers and Golden State. So the loser
Right. They still got
and
to
the
play 2
Lakers,
games. They still got to
no,
play
not
2
everybody.
games, though.
Not everybody. Not everybody. If-
So whoever
if
finishes
thi-
in 7th.
Right. Whoever's in 7th place has to win 1 game. They play
Yes.
the loser of the 9-10. So they play. No, it's like Indiana won tonight.
Right.
If you lose, you go home. The seed would go. The seed with Indiana and Charlotte. Charlotte's done. They're going home.
Right.
So they don't get to play 2 games. They're going home. Their season
Right.
is over.
Right.
The only one that gets to play 2 games is the loser of the 9-10. That's the only time you play 2 games. So if Golden State beats the Lakers, they're good. The Lakers have to play the winner of the other bracket.
So
In
I think
what
7.
order, I
so-
don't know, guys. It goes by
Right.
numbers 7, 8, 9,
Yeah.
10.
So
Right,
it's
right.
it's the 10. It's 10 teams. 7, 8, 9, and 10 have this play-in tournament. So 7,
Right.
whoever finishes the 7th and 8th seed, they play each other. Whoever wins that game, they are the 7th seed. The 9th and 10th team, they play each other, and whoever wins that has to play the loser out of the 7th and the 8th seed for the eighth
to get
seed.
the eighth seed. I
To
got
get
you.
the eighth
Right.
seed.
Right.
So the whoever wins this first game, I'm in like Flynn. I'm number 7, so I don't have to worry about it no more.
Right.
And the 9
Now
and
you're
10, they
fighting
got to
for
play
8.
2 games. Yeah. Now
Okay.
you're fighting for the right to get blown out by the number 1 team.
Right.
Right.
Okay. But LA Golden State, I'm picking Golden State.
Come on, stop
Me
it,
too.
Mac.
Me too.
Stop.
No. Let me
I'm
finish.
yeah.
Bishop. Let me finish. LA has no shooting, and it depends on whether AD and LeBron are healthy, and they're sub guys and reserves, and they got to step up. I think Golden State has been rolling. They don't won 15 of their last 20 games, so I'm rolling with Golden State off the LA.
I'm just going geographically. My birthplace tells me I can't root for nobody in LA. That's all. I ain't got nothing else. My geographics tell me I cannot root for LA and Boston. That's on each end of the coast. I just can't do it in any sport,
Right.
any faction, nothing. So
I ain't mad at you, man. As long as you're honest, bro, I can deal with that. I tell Mac, I don't like people because I don't like their face. I told him I don't like Kevin Knox's face. He could score 30 for the rest of his career, and I still don't like him.
You know what? I don't really like his. I don't like his face either.
That's a
Just
weird.
Wow.
Just being honest, Carl. That's all.
I am. I know to be like, yo, why you hating on dude? I just don't like him. It's that simple.
So for me, I can't. I'm not even. For me, it's like, yeah, I'm never going to vote against. I'm never going against LeBron, never. So it's like,
I
even if they
like
don't win the
LeBron,
championship,
this the time I'm going against LeBron.
even if they don't win the chip, they getting in. They're going to be in the playoffs. It's no way that Golden State is going to beat LA. No way.
Well,
No
still,
way.
if Golden State beats them, LA doesn't go home. Don't they play that other game, right?
They play that other game, but they're
Yeah,
better
so
than that.
I think they'll get in. LA just gotta now some of the pieces they got. If you can get Drummond to play like a rim protector, and who's gonna match up with AD? And Gasol looked like he came out whatever coma he was in. He's been playing a little better. So, and then the other thing is too, man, you can't take away from the championship pedigree. But here's the thing. I think Golden State really has more to gain. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Golden State beat them, but I wouldn't look at that as anything major. I think the Lakers are gonna get in regardless. So
Okay.
Okay.
Don from the Shy. Go ahead, brother.
Ooh.
I'm going with Golden State. I think Golden State if they come out on fire that first quarter, they definitely got it.
Right.
They definitely got it. But LA don't know what to do with Drummond and Anthony Davis, and I really don't see how they don't know what to do. Like, even
Frank
though
Frank Vogel's their coach. That's why they don't know what to do.
Yep. You don't know. He's the non-adjuster.
Because
any one of us could be sitting on the sidelines coaching the Lakers.
Yeah.
LeBron, you want to go in?
You got 2 brick walls. I don't see how you.
Actually, they got
three. They got 3 of them.
Yeah. Got him. What's my man name?
Montrezl.
They got Montrezl.
That's 4. That's 4. And for them not know what to do with that, I mean, if they lose, that's on the coach. Yep. And that's on LeBron too, because if I'm LeBron, I'm like, listen here. Y'all just guard the hole, no layups for nobody.
Yep.
It happened. Like, look, when they had Andrew Bynum and Gasol, look what happened. Dominated the league. You can do that right now. And even if the rebounds is long, you can still use them. They can play a lineup where it's Drummond center, power forward is freaking AD, and then small forward, because Harrell is really 6'9". He's not even big. You can put him at small forward. I mean, it's just so much going on with that team, and they just don't know. And then they got THT. They play in some games you don't play. Like, I know he still got to develop with it. At this point, Yo, let him stay on that floor and put KCP on the bench. I do not like his game. He frustrates me. He's inconsistent.
Very inconsistent.
Why is he? LeBron saved his career. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma needs to step up.
That's an understatement, Mac.
Now that's a too light skinned dude right there. He played very light skinned.
Yeah.
He be killing me. He kills me. I keep saying, if it cracks you up how teams talk about certain dudes. And I remember when the Lakers was trying to get AD, and at first Kuzma was supposed to be part of the package, and then it was Ingram. I said, as soon as they said Kuzma, y'all should have hit the button and said go, because y'all kept the wrong dude. Because he's just, to me, he's a good player, but he's a role player. But then the thing is, what the Lakers need him to do. Remember how we was talking about Burke and Bullock, how they in that situation? Kuzma can't even thrive in that situation. They're not even asking you to get 20. Just come out there and score when everybody else need a blow. And some nights you can't even get 10 points. That's crazy.
Right.
It's the second team.
Some nights he's setting the world on fire for a couple of minutes.
Well, that depends on who they playing and if what because But I'll say this about LeBron though, and I'm not gonna doubt LeBron because all of us on the call, LeBron could take us to the finals. So.
Right.
Yeah, so you guys got to remember. I'm not a big Lakers fan, but you guys got to remember they played that championship series, and then the following month they were back on the court. So you got to take into consideration like they had the injuries, they were still playing through the exhaustion, and these guys are not like LeBron is not a teenager anymore. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So and then you got Anthony Davis is injury prone, period. And when he had that Achilles scare, what I'm saying, when he had that Achilles scare, that kind of like, because it's like, your body needs a chance to recuperate. Yeah. And you guys didn't get a chance to recuperate.
They weren't off. You're right. Right. And so it's like, think about it.
Schroeder had an injury.
But remember when LeBron? Remember they were talking about LeBron, and because Bishop made an excellent point. Remember when the season started, and they said LeBron was politicking for them to just go ahead and wait until the new year and start in January, but the league was all ready to rock and roll, and we're gonna have NBA at Christmas and this, that, and the other, because they didn't give these dudes no turnaround time. First of all, you had to play in a unique circumstance where you were just totally away, and then think about the gap in the season when you had COVID hit, and then you start playing again another like 3-4 months later. That means your body got to readjust. You played, and now when you get your off time, you just playing again in a couple months, in a month and a half. Was it even 90 days?
That's why we saw so many injuries this year.
Yeah. And that's what LeBron and them were politicking for. They made him sound like an asshole for doing it, but he was trying to be like, yo, January. We don't got to play 72 games. We can play 60-something.
TV money. TV money.
That's right. That's right. TV money.
Then again, Carl, they all caved in. Every one of the players, the union, the owners, they all caved in. Like me and Mark were saying when we started this. It's always and always will be about the money. Nobody gave a shit about the turnaround. But then again, the way the NBA has been playing, I don't think nobody cared about the turnaround because the money and all the load management days were going to level out. You damn near got a month off between the All-Star break. Then you had a compressed schedule again. But again, from the get-go, you put money over COVID. You put money over coming back sooner. You put money over all of this. Everybody in there, guys, every one of them had a nickel in that dime because they all agreed to it.
So, Dom, how you feel about this, though? Because something the league did this year to lessen the travel was to have you stay in the city and play somebody twice in like 3 days or something, right?
Yeah,
remember,
baseball.
So why do these guys still lead load management if they weren't traveling like that?
This is what I'm saying, Carl. You itch and you bitch. Though you signed off on it, you continue to itch, but you continue to rest. So you know what? This kid Anthony Edwards on Minnesota, he might be the first rookie since Carl to play all the games this year.
Right.
He played 72 games this year, guys. all 72 games. I don't know many players that play 72 games. Joker, I think Joker played all 72 games.
RJ
Other
Barrett.
than that,
Yeah, it's Barrett. Yeah, it was like
RJ
4 guys.
Barrett.
I think they had a list of guys that played 72
Yeah.
games this year.
It ain't many, Carl. And that kid from Minnesota, he's one of them. Yeah, we only had about 4 guys.
Nikola Jokic, he played all games.
Yeah, he said.
And he
said.
balled
I
out.
said
He balled out all year too.
Yeah, Jokic, Edwards, Barrett, and there was somebody else. But all of your big stars, for one reason or another. Now, LeBron got hurt. Kawhi Leonard been on load management since high school, so we can't count him. Paul George, he's another one. Paul George been on load management since Indiana. So
right, well, that horrific injury he had.
Yeah, it is what it is, guys. This is the way the league is shaped out. So you can't complain. If you put it this way, guys, if you use load management for the last 5 years, and now you're playing a compressed schedule, if you didn't use load management this year, you must have rode the yellow bus to school.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Right.
So if you look at the way that they turned it around, I think they could have still turned the season around, but taking into account like the teams that went to the finals and the teams that went deep in the playoffs, instead of them starting at the same time and everybody else, still get them the games, but have them like a staggered schedule, because it's way too much for them to go, the amount of games that they played and the toll on their body, especially, the older athletes, and then ask them to turn around in a month and do the same thing all over again. So that means it's a lot. It was a lot.
The first thought was great when you said they should have cut it to like 60, 64 games. This way, not only are you catching up from where you left off last year, you get a better break. And because of the lesser schedule, you might be able to get back to some sense of normalcy next year. Right. Instead of you going to August and then turning around, coming back in September, October, we could have been done with this in May, early June, if they played a 60, 64 game schedule. And again, guys, with this play-in stuff, we extended this compressed schedule to 5 more days. Right. So how much shit can you put in a 5-pound bag?
Yeah, and then think about this though. The only this play-in thing only benefits the teams with the higher seeds, because now you got these guys all playing and the other teams ain't playing, and they able to get it's unheard of. You had a week off before. Remember back in the day in April, you could count around tax time. That Saturday they was gonna be playing playoff basketball. It started, and now you got teams having a whole week off. And to me, I don't like that, because I think Bishop said it. Why are you playing now a play-in just for the opportunity to get your ass whipped? Mm-hmm. And then again, I guess we don't see those playoff checks, so we don't know what they look like. So maybe that's what it is. But it's still, I'm looking at that and I'm like, yo, you got all this playoff stuff and you didn't basically kill the week. But now somebody to probably go to the next round and it not even be competitive, which sucks.
Yeah, it might be a little different, guys, in the West, because let's say hypothetically the Lakers are the AC and they got to play Utah.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
They're the outlier. They're the only outlier, because they're the only team that can beat
everybody.
Right. So that's an anomaly. That's not the norm. But that being said, we still extended a season that shouldn't have been extended from the get-go. We extended it even further out. And again, it's gonna sooner or later, guys, something got to happen for you to put a pause on this, compress it, play less games to get back to normalcy in September, October of next year. Well, it might not be next year, depending on when the finals end this year.
Right.
So what do they do next year? Push it back to November, December, and then you keep trying to play catch up.
Right. We shall see.
that's gonna be collective bargaining thing again, because you know the league is gonna come back and be ready to be like clap their fingers, go, all right, we got this TV money, get going, and the players are gonna, they're gonna have to, band together and say we need a break.
Yeah. Last topic, we're gonna have a little fun. Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, Gilbert Arenas, Stephen A. Smith, they have been ripped to shreds by my man Kwame Brown. It has been hilarious.
Hey, let me say something before I get off, man.
Go ahead, brother.
I just want to say this.
I meant to hit your page today, but I was busy. Go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, I just want to say, leave that man alone.
Right.
He didn't say nothing wrong.
Yep.
And I'm glad that he's standing on principle and standing on his 2 feet, 10 toes at all times. I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. I was never feeling Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes. I mean, they just talk too much for me. That was some old coward, weak stuff they did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a known fact that Kwame Brown will put the hands on you if it's needed. And my thing is, be a man about this. Y'all should have just invited him on the platform so he can tell his story.
Right,
that's
that would have been cooler.
All it is, and he's absolutely right about Stephen A. Smith and all of these dudes. Now, with KD, I'm gonna have to disagree with him. But these dudes really have made a career just tearing down black men.
Right.
And it needs to stop. Seriously. I mean, just keep it basketball, that's it. I don't even see why would you even bring this man's name up. And I never had respect for Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson anyway. I knew they was clowns. Yeah, I just know that. I'm like, do y'all talk too damn much? Y'all ain't really that tough like that. But see, when you look at Kwame Brown, the man is damn near 7 feet tall. I know he gonna hurt y'all. But he quiet, and he's been quiet about this for years. So this was the most weak, disgusting thing I ever seen in my life to even mess with this dude. Let this man live his life. I'm saying, like, he's really doing good for himself. So what is there to talk about?
But Don, think about this. Stephen A. learned at the altar of Skip Bayless. So that's why he get it honest. When you start talking and debasing brothers. And then that's where these guys kind of get it twisted. Because my thing is, and I'm okay with that. You can have a disagreement with somebody if you say something on your show. But see, we live in this world where we want to have these silos, right? So say if we all on the show now, right? And say you on here and me and you disagree about something. And then next week, I'm on the show and I'm just talking all reckless about you and saying all type of stuff. And then I'm not really ready to engage you when you're ready to come back. Then I'm going to just want it to be what I said. And I should actually give you a forum so we could discuss whatever, because my viewpoint is just my viewpoint.
Right. And on top of that, I mean, he has an interesting story. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody wants to hear his story because he was the #1 draft pick, but he was young. Yep. And I was a teenager too, but yeah, I did witness adults completely just take a good turd on him. And I'm like, so when I think about it now, I'm like, hey, he's right. He was only a teenager. And you all thought because he was drafted #1, he's supposed to come out and drop 20 and 10 automatically. It's not everybody.
And people don't talk about how Mike destroyed his confidence too. Because remember, Mike played with him. And they said Mike rode him mercilessly, and even Rip Hamilton and them cats, they said they respected Mike because of who Mike was, but they didn't like Mike. They didn't like Mike, but Mike really messed up his confidence and stuff as well, and people don't talk about that.
Kwame Brown's a soft target. That's what you call a soft target.
Yeah,
because you're still talking about it. You're still talking. I'm saying you're still talking about this man, and it's like, again, one of the things that I listened to some of the stuff. One of the things that he said that kind of like struck me, and forget about all the other stuff, all the little insulting
Personal
things
stuff.
or whatever, personal things. What that man said is, yo, I made it to the league, so I'm a winner. You understand what I'm
Yep.
saying? Yo, I'm a winner regardless. It's like, yo, it's 450 spots. You know how many hundreds of thousands and millions of dudes want to play in the league and only 450 get there? And I got there? So what did you talk about? I won. You know what I'm saying? There's people who work their whole lives and never get that opportunity. And I got that opportunity. You understand what I'm saying? So all this other nonsense you're talking about, and then on top of it, it's like I didn't realize, and maybe this is just his side of things when he was talking about the Gilbert Arenas thing.
Mhm.
When it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, like this ain't costing you nothing. You know what I'm saying? You taking food out of this dude's mouth. It ain't costing you nothing because you still getting your max money. So why would you feel the need to shit on him where he can't eat? Like that part, I didn't. It's like, yeah, that's pretty crazy to me. That's pretty crazy to me because it ain't costing you nothing.
Right. Here's the thing. I like Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, some of their stuff. But Matt Barnes has been a clown, Steven Jackson has been a clown, and Gilbert Arenas has been a clown. They've all done just dumb shit that they never should have done. People have been riding Kwame Brown since he was drafted. And I got people on in the paint group and on my page saying, oh, he shouldn't say that, talk personal. I was like, but y'all been dissing him for 15 years. And he's never said nothing about anybody. When he was drafted, there was really no social media. He hasn't been on any social media talking about anybody. So y'all been riding him. Now he gonna respond. So I'm not mad at him. Y'all shouldn't. Y'all should have left him alone. And none of these guys,
Mac, none of these guys are. You know what I'm saying? They've all made their mistakes and done stupid stuff. And and Bishop said it best. That was a soft target. Because if you want to talk about this, if you want to talk about the stuff they did, Etan Thomas, that used to play for the Wizards, has a really good podcast, and he had Eddie Jordan on there, right? And it's talking about when Eddie Jordan coached the Wizards and how he took them to the playoffs, and then Grunfeld fired him the next year after everybody got hurt. They talk about Gilbert Arenas and talk about how Gilbert was on some Finding Forrester shit. They said Gilbert is a smart dude, and they said Gilbert would stay doing dumb shit trying to appear cool. And it said all the dumb stuff that he did, you would even be more amazed if you knew him, because you'd be like, dude, you're not a stupid dude. Like when people are seeing the stuff that you're doing, they're like, this dude's an idiot. But then when you met him, because he went to Stanford, I think, didn't he? Then Gilbert go to Arizona. But they said he's a smart. But they said he was a smart dude, and then he does all this stupid stuff. So look at all the clown stuff you did in your career, got caught doing, and this is the dude you try to go in on, who hasn't done anywhere close to the knucklehead stuff that you've done.
Right. Actually, Kwame Brown has never been in trouble, really.
No, and you know what? Here's the funny thing. If I'm not mistaken, Kwame Brown survived in the NBA for about 13 years.
Yep.
He made a living being in the NBA as what you call a bust. But the thing I find the most, I guess I could say sorry part of all this, is we're sitting here talking about grown men, talking about grown men. But see, this is where we're at in society now, between podcasts, social media, where you could say whatever you want, and there's very little repercussion behind it. Other than you might be getting in a beef with somebody, but it's just, and I think that's the way I discerned it, is like that's what I kind of thought Kwame Brown was talking about. Add the color thing in where black men are tearing down black men, but we're still talking about, I don't care what color they are, we're talking about grown men talking about another grown man. When's the last time Kwame Brown played a game?
Right.
Yeah. And we're still talking about Kwame Brown.
But it was a
Really?
soft. But I'm saying it's a soft target. That's like somebody bringing up. I don't know if you guys remember. You remember Yinka Dare?
Yeah,
Stinker.
played
Me
for
and
the
Carl
Nets.
call him Stinker.
Yeah, when Derek Coleman was there and they drafted him, and it was like, this is who y'all draft, like this dude.
Right.
So and they high drafted him. That's like somebody bringing him up now. It's like, what's the relevance of that? What's the relevance of that? In this,
Right.
you got all of this stuff to talk about, and it's like, so if we wanted to go back and look at track records, it's like Steven Jackson, you got up there and you stood on the platform and you rep for your man or whatever. But it's like, I remember when you were in Indiana and there were shootouts at clubs where you were the shooter, at nightclubs and strip clubs, and there was a bunch of other questionable incidents before the
Talk about
before
his
the
baby
Detroit,
mamas too.
yeah, before the Detroit thing. He got several baby mothers before the
Gave him
Detroit
for
thing.
$1 million.
Yeah, before the Detroit thing. So it's like, again, like, where do you get off? Where do you get off placing judgment on somebody else? Matt Barnes, dude. Like, I'm not even in that circle, but the things that we've read about on you, it's like, yo, like, so where do you get off? Where do you get off criticizing somebody and getting on a platform and try to put somebody else down when everybody know who you are and what your dirty laundry is? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it was crazy to me. It was crazy.
But you know what's even scarier? Steven Jackson, for example. Y'all remember, he was exiled for a while, even after the incident at the Palace. He was exiled, and
Actually,
it took Popovich. Popovich is the one that brought him back in the fold. Now, I don't like Popovich. I don't like the Spurs. But if Popovich didn't intervene, where would he be right now?
Right.
He wouldn't be. His career would have been over, and that would have been it. You know.
Exactly.
He was too
Right.
busy
And
being
actually,
the real nigga.
he got two
That's his
handouts.
problem.
One from Popovich
Right.
and one from somebody else.
Well,
Yeah,
it
but
was
he
Popovich
was welcome
that
out.
brought him. Popovich brought him back in because remember, guys, he was exiled. He didn't have no home.
Hold on. No, when he listen, he won a championship with San Antonio.
Right.
Went to Indiana. Then Golden State picked him up after all of that.
Right.
After the debacle with so Popovich was the reason why he went to Golden State.
Well, Popovich is the one that brought him back. Remember,
I didn't know that.
After the Malice and the Palace, he went somewhere else. Him and Artest went to different teams, whatever the case. But then after that, he was gone. Popovich is the one that reached out to him, brought him to the Spurs. They won that chip that you're talking about, Dominic. And that's how he got back in. But you guys have sat here, Gilbert Arenas pulling out guns in the locker room. You know, Matt Barnes getting into fights with Derek Fisher over a woman. And, you know, I mean, again, guys, we're talking about grown men. The same way we're talking about their fuckery, you're bringing up, as Bishop would say, a soft target. But, you know, come on, guys. There's only so many times you can hit the target and it falls. And you move to another target if that's your claim to fame. If you're just looking for a target, then why Kwame? Again, guys, I can't even remember the last time Kwame Brown played a game. I'd have to look it up. And you're still talking about Kwame Brown. Really?
Right. It's funny, out of all of us, he's the one who gets targeted the most. And it is guys who've been worse bust than him to me, you know.
We got him now, Mark. There's guys right now that are bust. What's the name say about light-skinned on the Knicks? He's a bust. Right now, he's a bust.
That's my opinion.
He's a bust. Kevin Knox.
Y'all gotta get rid of RJ too. Get rid of him.
Oh man, you preaching. Preach.
I disagree with both of you.
Preach.
But no. Yo, Kwame Brown, he has not bothered anybody. And people sit there and they're like, well, he shouldn't talk personal. I think Steven Jackson went on a forum yesterday or earlier today and said he shouldn't have got personal. I'm like, but dude, you've been talking personal about him for the last whatever. So don't get mad when he responds.
Right.
And how he responds.
Did Kwame Brown draft himself? We almost were having, and the jury's still out. We're almost having that conversation about Markelle Fultz. Remember, Markelle Fultz was drafted #1. The kid couldn't shoot a damn layup.
Right.
He tried to reinvent his game. He made a good comeback.
Right.
But would he have been in that boat? What about what's the kid that played with Noel in Okafor? Jaleel Okafor.
I don't think he might still be in the
I forgot who he played
with. He's not playing. Yeah, he's in Detroit.
Yeah, he was another one. High draft pick. Okay, they might not have been #1. Fultz was #1. But that being said, again, guys, somebody look it up when we get off the line. When's the last time Kwame Brown played a basketball game?
I'm gonna tell you in a second.
Yeah, but while you looking that up, this whole thing about making it personal, when you brought that man's name out your mouth, you made it personal.
Exactly, Bishop.
When you spoke his name out your mouth in a disrespectful way, you made it personal. You know what I'm saying?
That's like I used to have this job around 2000. It was a bank. So dude made a joke about I had dreads then. Dude made a joke about my dreads. So I calmly just peeked him and I was like, but dude, you got 2 dual receding hairlines. They race into the center of your head. And I left. Everybody cracked up. I get to my desk. He emails me, Mark, I think that was personal. I was like, what you said wasn't personal? I'm like, listen, don't say nothing else to me no more. Me and you don't have to talk. It's just business. If we gotta talk because of work, we'll talk. But don't talk to me again, because
You know what? You know what's worse than that? And we had this conversation too, Mark. How everywhere I went, everybody would just look at my uniform, and they would see all the different tabs, and they already formed an opinion about me. I didn't say a word. It was oh, look at this fucking guy. He knows everything, all that shit. And what did I say back then, Mark, when we first brought, y'all had the chance to do what I did. I didn't reinvent this wheel. I'm not Captain America. I just went to the school and I got these tabs. But again, there goes that personal shit. You took it personal for whatever reason. Just like with this situation. You uttered his name out your mouth. So how can you think that wasn't personal? It's like when I would walk by and I would hear people mumbling because they couldn't say nothing to me because I outranked them. But I'd hear them mumble. So again, if I had soft skin, I could have turned that, but I didn't have soft skin. And Kwame Brown never had soft skin until this morning. But I don't even think it's soft skin. Me either. I was getting ready to say that, Mark.
Because if you see some of the videos, he's actually laughing. He's having his fun with it now.
Yeah, but if you look at
pretty calm, cool, and collective too. I mean,
but if you listen to some of the stuff that he's saying, it's like. So he been having a weight on his shoulders for a minute, because he's still holding on. He's still holding on to, like I could have made X amount of money, but Gilbert Arenas was a fuck boy. He fucked me over. You understand what I'm saying? Like, but hold up.
Bishop, he's been Kwame Brown's been denigrated by not just Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, Gilbert Arenas, and Stephen A. Smith, but he's been done this way by everybody, that watches basketball. Everybody has had something negative to say about him, and he's been the butt of jokes. When he was with the Lakers, he was pretty decent. He was serviceable.
Right. He had a decent contract with him.
Right, but he still was called a bust. So, hey, leave that dude alone.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'd like to hear the responses. I'd like to hear the responses by Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes.
I'm gonna post them to the group because Matt Barnes he eased back on in one clip. He was like, well, I didn't mean it that way. And
what did he say first, Mark? He was like, I don't know why he brought me up. I never said nothing. So are you throwing Steven Jackson and Gilbert Arenas under the bus? Because that was his first comeback on ESPN.
And you know what? I gotta go back. I gotta go back and watch when they talked about Kwame Brown for verification, but
Yeah, he was tap dancing, Bishop. First thing
So
out of
he
his mouth, I
said,
don't know why you
he
said anything
said,
about
what
me.
he
I
said?
didn't say nothing.
Kwame Brown is hilarious.
He said, "Yo, you want some of the smoke? You don't want all of the smoke. You want some of the smoke."
But he
That's what.
did make sense. You have an
Yes.
open podcast. Since you were talking about me, why didn't you bring me on?
Right, and like he said,
Obviously, you know who I am because you're talking about me.
he said
Why
Matt Barnes is Becky with the good hair.
Oh,
I was on the floor.
yeah, he did get a little. But you know what? Again, like Bishop said, this has probably been filtering in his body for how many years?
Yeah.
And he said,
Decades.
you know what? You know what? We live in this free, Instagram live, Twitter live shit.
I'm gonna go live.
Exactly. Let me
So,
get
yo,
a taste of this.
He played from 2001/2002 to 2012, 2013.
12, 13 years.
Right.
So he hasn't
Right.
played since 2013.
Right, and they
Still
said
talking
in
about
8 years
contracts he made
$84 million.
his contracts were worth $60 million. Or
Somebody said 84 today. I think he said it. I think he said $84
Okay.
million.
No, he said he could have. He said he could have.
No, I think his total earnings in them 13 years was $84 million, which
maybe
in
he got
today's
some-
NBA is,
Well, he
kind of
said
peanuts. But
he was taking. He took
And
money
he
out of
looked
his
like
mouth.
he living
Yeah.
well. He
Yeah,
looked like he
yeah,
living well.
he looked pretty. But again, guys, with the point I was asking, you look it up. 8 years. This dude hasn't played a game in 8 years, and you're still talking about this shit. Are you that
Well,
bored?
you know what? Their podcast, they bring other players who they played against and played with, and they basically sharing old war stories as well as talking about the present.
Yeah, but that was personal.
But still.
though. Look, that was
Yeah.
personal. If you said, yo, when I used to play against Al Harrington, this dude had the tendencies, and I couldn't guard this, but he couldn't guard me, and it was known throughout the league that I was this or I was able to do that. That to me is a podcast that you
Right.
walk that walk, so you could talk
Right.
that talk. You understand what I'm saying? You played against some of the top notch players. You know how they ate you up and how you couldn't do anything against them and so forth. So that kind of talk. But when you start going into, oh, this guy wasn't this and this guy's not that, and you start
Right. Or
denigrating people.
Even
Yeah.
some of the stuff, you got war stories, stuff that happened, not even war stories, the fun stuff that happened off the court.
Yeah,
Those
right,
stories are cool too, but y'all sitting here.
disrespecting people.
Hey, again, guys, that's where we're at right now. You could,
Right.
and I tell you what, to get off of the sports topic, that Christy Teigen, whatever her name is,
John Legend's wife.
See, when they say the internet never sleeps and it's undefeated, you see what's happening to her now, right?
What happened now?
She got booted from Macy's,
Booted off of Twitter?
Target. No, from all of her cooking equipment, and because of that threat that she gave that 16-year-old girl, telling her to go commit suicide. And yeah, this was like 10 years ago, but it resurfaced, and people are like, damn, you got something to say about everything that's going on, and this is who you were. Really?
Yeah, but that's kind of ridiculous, though. That's kind of ridiculous because it's like, are you the same person you were 10 years ago?
Well, again, Bishop, I'm not debating that. What I'm saying is, if you're going to be the one to run your mouth about being perfect and this horse you're sitting on, but you forgot what you did, you actually telling some teenager go commit suicide. I don't care if it was 10 days ago or 10 years ago. You're this person sitting on this throne, beefing, saying what you want on social media, and now it came back to bite you in your ass.
But then that means
that's what happened to these guys.
But then that means that, well, yeah. But with her, to me, it's like you can't put people in a box and say, okay, well, because you did this, you are never able to escape that.
But that's how we are now, Bishop. Come on, man.
You're right. You're right.
I didn't make the rules, and I don't even like them. I'm that guy.
You know what? They never let you. They never let you forget your past and anything negative.
Well, it depends. It depends on who you
some
are.
of the people that we're saying we don't want you to forget your past, are the ones always bringing up your past. And she was one of them. She would talk about people all the time, going back years and years and what they did 100 years ago. But now it's you. And now it's like, oops, my bad.
Yeah. You know? How old is she now?
36.
36.
Yeah.
So she was 20. She was 26 when she said
right.
That.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, you're the same person that'll talk about Mark, what Mark did, 10 years ago, didn't pay $20 worth of taxes just to get a like, and now it came back to bite you in your ass. You know what I say to that? Good. Because sometimes you should just leave people alone. But that's and we say this all the time, guys. That's where we're at now. You could get on social media, say what you want, depending on your views, who's going to block you, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. Some people get free rides, some don't. And now it came back, full circle, as they would say, like what happened to these guys. Y'all are on
Well, they had Gilbert Arenas on. They had Gilbert Arenas on recently, and
But he's another one, Mark. These guys think they can say what they want to say, and you know what? For the most part, they get away with it. People get away with it nowadays. Mark ain't shit. Blah blah blah. Look, they don't even know Mark.
Kwame Brown been disparaged since
2001.
Since 2001, people been, you a bust, you suck, you a bum. Meanwhile, he was able to get himself out of the mud because he was very poor and taking care of his family. And
survived it for 13 years.
Right. And like he said, I remember there's a guy on the Knicks. I can't think of his name right now. But when I was at Pace University, he's a scrub on the Knicks, right? He came, I think he was trying to become a coach at Pace, and he played. So, he was putting the ball on the floor. He was dunking on people, shooting. He was like, damn, you nice.
Like Bishop said,
anybody that's been in the NBA or made it to the NBA, they will crack your ass.
Like Bishop said, this guy has put up with this for how long? Never said a word. He probably brushed it off his shoulders. Hey, you know what? I still survived 13 years.
Well, Gilbert is that dude who
stoked that flame.
And Steven Jackson also. So and Matt Barnes, Becky with the good hair.
He backed out real quick, Mark. Go to that clip on what's that show called? The Jump. First thing out his mouth. I don't know why he came after me. I ain't saying nothing about it. Almost like a little bitch, like you're like, I better back out of this because this guy seems a little pissed off.
That's like some dude was dissing Zab Judah. Zab Judah's from Brooklyn. I know people that know Zab. So Zab Judah, former champion, former boxer. Actually, he still might be boxing. But some dude was going off on Zab on Twitter, talking about, I put hands on you, ain't nothing. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
He found out where the dude worked, came to his store. I'm going to send y'all that clip. He was like, me and you outside right now. He was like, no, come on, let's go. You said you wanted it, I'm here.
Yeah, see?
Can't be talking that rah-rah to people.
And that's what I was saying. Sometimes the shit that comes out your mouth, I'm not advocating violence.
No.
I'm just saying, it's
like, sometimes
exactly, Bishop. Sometimes, what's that old saying? Your mouth right to a check ass can't cash.
You all right, though?
Yeah, no, I had something in my throat. I see the Wizards lost.
Yeah, exactly my point. Exactly my point. The best that they could do is that. And I'm just like, so again, where are you going? Where you going?
Damn,
they just got Westbrook. They'll be all right.
How old is Westbrook?
31. 31. Yeah.
Fearless 27, and they got some
Right.
young players.
Yeah, so
I like that
So
one
this-
kid they got with the funny name. I don't mean to say funny.
Wait,
name.
Yakamura,
You know
hold
what?
on. Let
the
me
Japanese
ask y'all a
kid?
quick question.
No,
The
what's his
Japanese
name?
kid.
No, the
Yakamura
black
or-
kid.
Hachimura.
Hachimura?
Is he Chinese?
He's
No,
Japanese.
he's
Japanese.
half Asian. He's
I
half
thought
black,
so.
half Asian.
He got the little teeny weeny afro.
Yeah,
He's
he's
pretty good,
soft,
man.
though.
I got a
He's
Yeah, but
question
he's
soft,
pretty
for y'all
good. He's
before-
young.
Oh, hold on, fellas. The teams that don't make the playoffs, do they still go in the lottery?
It still
I
goes
think
in
so.
order. It depends.
So
Let's
those,
see. There's
how
30
many teams
in
in the
league.
lottery?
10, I think. 6, 7, or 10. They won't be in
No,
it,
it's more than that.
because there's 10 teams that didn't make the play-in or the playoffs. So
Okay.
they'll be your top 10. Well, bottom 10 in this case. Your Minnesota's, Cleveland's.
Right.
Whoever didn't make the playoffs, they'll be in the lottery. And, of course, the less wins you have, the more balls you get. The scary thing is Minnesota decided to start winning at the end of the year. If their pick is after 3, it's unprotected. Golden State gets their pick.
Yo,
you got beat twice.
Right. I'm ready to call it a night, fellas.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
glad to be back. I missed y'all. I just had a lot of things going on over the past month and a half. We'll be back Friday because we'll continue to talk about the first round. And thank y'all for being with me. R's a punk.
Oh, I don't say that.
Yeah.
Y'all will be chatting up in that text about, yo, Mark, I'm telling you. Y'all started talking. I'm gonna cut the backyard.
I'm doing a Matt Barnes. I don't want all the smoke.
I could hear the texts in my earbuds. And I'm like, damn, man, it's been about 45 minutes. Let me do the front yard. I got done with the front yard, and my buds were still going off. Max 611, that's how I got you on my book.
Okay.
Max 611 responded to the group. I'm like, these motherfuckers is still talking. What, don't they have jobs?
This dude be up at 5:30 every morning texting. No.
Well, I send out the little motivational quote. But I am up early, Mark. But I'm telling you,
I'm up early, but I'm not looking at my phone when you text.
The whole time, Bishop, I cut the front yard, backyard, weed whack, and I'm still hearing Texas in my head. I'm like, these guys are out of control, man. I took the wrong career. I should be working where they were at.
But how about this, Dom? I'm in a text chain with you. I'm in a text chain with some of my family, in a text chain with some of my friends, and sometimes.
We got to get Bishop in this.
They all picked the wrong time to start texting. I'm like, I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm gonna defend R. I'm gonna defend R. I'm gonna defend him.
You defend that guy.
I'm gonna defend him.
You gotta add Bishop to this shit, Mark. I don't know his phone number.
Yeah, I'm gonna defend the R because I need to hold him up just long enough for him to read that statement that I prepared for him. I need to hold him up just long enough.
Listen, this has been In the Paint, the realest show in sports. I'm Max 611, Mark A. Cunningham. I want to thank everybody who's been on our different pages, from our Facebook to our Twitter. Thank you. We will try to be back more consistently. Just me and R have both been having things going on personally. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, In the Paint Media Group. Follow us on Twitter at In the Paint Media, at The Real Max 611, and at Real R Jones. Peace. Y'all have a good night.